Good afternoon, baseball fans. We are live from PG Cares Field, Veterans Stadium in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, the 2023 Division III Baseball National Championship. It's back. It is actually day 4 here in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, but it's just going to be game 3 for those Lynchburg Hornets. They won on Friday night against Wisconsin Lacrosse, an 8-6 victory there. Lynchburg takes down East Texas Baptist University 8-3 on Saturday. So the Lynchburg Hornets get a day off yesterday to rest and relax and enjoy some things here in the Midwest. Meanwhile, East Texas Baptist had to go into the losers bracket. They did play yesterday, and they had a very successful day against Salisbury. ETBU knocked out the Seagulls 21-7 yesterday. It was 21 runs unanswered for the Tigers of East Texas Baptist. Salisbury actually got up 6-0 in the first inning, and then it was all Tigers from there. So 21 runs on 21 hits. They actually still left 10 runners on base, believe it or not, and that allows East Texas Baptist to stay in the tournament and face the team that has given them their only loss so far in this national championship tournament. That is the Lynchburg Hornets. Here's the situation today, and this should sound familiar to folks that have been paying attention all season. Lynchburg is in the position again where they only need to win one game today. ETBU would have to beat Lynchburg twice in order to advance to the championship series. We're actually down to the final 4, if you will. There's just 4 ball clubs left in this tournament. On the other side of the bracket, it'll be Johns Hopkins and Baldwin Wallace. They will be playing again after this game. And then if ETBU can beat Lynchburg, we'll come back again later on tonight. But let's not worry about that too much right now. Let's check out the starting lineup for Lynchburg. They will be the home team. They are in the red tops today with the white pants. And on the bump, it's number 45, Wes Arrington. Wes takes the ball today, another seasoned campaigner for Lynchburg on the mound, and another guy with really electric stuff. He's got that electric factory slider just like Potts and Pond have. So this might be an ideal matchup for Wesley Arrington, because we saw this ball club, East Texas Baptist, have some issues hitting Brandon Pond's slider. No knock on them. A lot of teams have issues hitting Brandon Pond's slider and his other offerings as well. But back to Wesley Arrington for a moment, and we will recap the performance of Brandon Pond the other night some as this day goes on. But back to Wes Arrington. He is 6-2 on the season, 4.43 earned run average. This will be start number 13. Last time he pitched was down in Rocky Mount at the Rocky Mount Regional. That was a loss against Lebanon Valley, but Wesley Arrington pitched into the 7th inning and did not throw the baseball bad at all. So I think there's plenty of confidence there for Lynchburg. All the other options are available with the exception of Brandon Pond, and who knows, he might even be available today if the situation was exactly perfect for him to come into a ball game. Defensively for Lynchburg, it's what we have been used to. It'll be Holden Fiedler, the battery mate for Arrington. On the right side, it's Eric Hyatt at first base, the freshman Ben Jones at second. Teammate in the middle is his high school teammate. That is Brandon Garcia. Gavin Collins plays third base. In the outfield, it's Avery Neves in left. Carson Atkins patrols center. And you've got Jackson Harding in right field. Lynchburg comes into the game at 45-7 overall. They have won 11 of their last 12. They are 12-2 in the postseason. Only games Lynchburg have lost in the postseason are an opening weekend game of ODAC conference play against Bridgewater, and then the one loss to Lebanon Valley in that Rocky Mount Regional. We're set for first pitch right now. Fastball across the plate must have come in high, because that is ball 1 to Jacob Evangelista for East Texas Baptist. They're 42-14. They are from Marshall, Texas, and it is a ball club that we did see last night. Line drive, right field. Jackson Harding played perfectly, but he actually had to go down to the knees to make the grab. I think the footing maybe just escaped Jackson Harding there. It's a well-hit ball, but it is an out. First one of the ball game. Second pitch swinging there for Jacob Evangelista. Carson Wilson, the second baseman, hits second. Let's finish out the lineup for ETBU. It'll be Jordan Hara, the DH, on deck. Ben Lee, the left fielder, is the cleanup man. Brett Wagner hits fifth. Jace Jones, sixth. Nick Masserini, the center fielder, seventh. Nick Chavez, the catcher, batting 8th, and Jake Miller, the shortstop, hits 9th. The last time Lynchburg played, it was against East Texas Baptist, so we will refer to those stats when we're talking about players from both teams. And again, just for reference, ETBU was in action yesterday. They beat Salisbury 21-7. Lynchburg had the day off. You can debate whether you'd like to be playing. They asked Coach Lucas Jones that in the press conference. They said, would you prefer to keep the momentum rolling and all those things? And I think Lucas Jones, as Eric Hyatt will go into foul territory to make a grab. Soft bang against the wall there, but no problem for out number 2. Good catch by Eric Hyatt, the first baseman for Lynchburg. I think Lucas Jones, in typical Coach Jones fashion, his answer was, well, it's not really an option to keep playing, so it's not something I'm going to worry about. Whether I'd like to keep playing or not is irrelevant. We have the day off. We'll make the most of it. Hornets did get a practice session in yesterday, and it was nice to sleep in a little bit. He said we've been hooting with the Owls. That was the term that Coach Lucas Jones kept using as Wesley Arrington gets strike 1 against Jordan Hara. There's 2 outs here in the top of the first inning. Kyle Haney hanging out with you on the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network. So glad that you're making time for us this Monday afternoon. Back to the hooting with the Owls. It's crazy to have a day game again. It was One Nation After Dark, our back-to-back late-night broadcast. Fun under the lights. Lynchburg seemed to enjoy it, right? They're 2-0 underneath the lights here in Cedar Rapids. But back to day baseball for Lynchburg. Here's a pitch from Arrington that is sprayed foul. Hard contact by Jordan Hare, the man from Hawaii, who has hit safely in 18 of his last 19 ball games. The one game that snapped his long hitting streak, well, that was 2 nights ago against Lynchburg. 1-2 count on Jordan Hara. Arrington pitching from the stretch position, pants up high, showing the socks, swing and a miss, inside fastball. Wes Arrington's got his first punch out of the ball game, and it's a 3-up, 3-down inning in the top of the first. Hornets coming to bat next as we are underway here. Monday afternoon baseball, trying to get into the championship series here in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Good start for Lynchburg. Brandon Garcia is the leadoff man for Lynchburg. The lineup is unchanged for the Hornets, but let's run it down for you. Garcia leading off. The high school teammate Ben Jones waits in the on-deck circle. The All-American Avery Neves will bat third. Sean Pokerock, the designated hitter, hitting cleanup. 5-hole man will be Eric Hyatt. Gavin Collins hits 6th. Jackson Harding 7th. Holden Fiedler 8th. And Carson Atkins rounding out the batting order for Lynchburg. It's strike 1 from Cole Godkin. That name may sound familiar. He started in the Saturday contest against Lynchburg, and that certainly raised some eyebrows to see Cole Godkin back out there. Not from a pitch volume perspective, because he did not throw that many pitches against Lynchburg. He lost the zone and was only able to record 1 out in his first appearance against Lynchburg. So Godkin is back out there to try to maybe erase some demons after being unable to really throw strikes against Lynchburg. Godkin, just looking at the score line in that ball game. Let me get it for you here. It's a 1-2 count. Godkin delivers to Garcia. He'll spray that one foul. 1/3 of an inning. He only allowed 1 hit, but it was 5 runs. 4 of them earned, 3 walks. But clearly there's still plenty of trust there as ETBU has given him the baseball again to start this game. I think Lynchburg should have some confidence against Godkin as Brandon Garcia puts a charge into one but yanks it foul. The count is still 1-2 with nobody out in the bottom of the first inning. Still no score between East Texas Baptist and Lynchburg. So it's an interesting, and as I said, an eyebrow-raising person to go to. But at this point, your pitching is probably not set up ideally if you're East Texas Baptist. They have had to play 3 games. Lynchburg has only had to play 2. And Lynchburg, the last time out, got a complete game from Brandon Pond. So their pitching rotation fairly intact. Brandon Garcia shoots one to left. It hit the glove of the left fielder, Ben Lee, but skipped out. Brandon Garcia is going to be on first. That should go down as a base hit because Ben Lee was trying to slide into that one. It wasn't a textbook kind of a play there for Ben Lee, and the official announcement was a single. So the first hit of the ball game for the Lynchburg Hornets has the leadoff man, Brandon Garcia, on board. Here comes another left-handed swinger. This is Ben Jones. Ben Jones 2 for 4 with a 2-run double on night 1 against Wisconsin lacrosse. He'll hack at the first pitch and spray that one foul. And the count is 0-1. So a lot to talk about here. We've got all the season numbers. We've got the postseason numbers, and we've got what these teams did against each other a few nights ago. We've got what Lynchburg has done in their 2 games combined here in Cedar Rapids, and you've got 3 games as far as what to look at for East Texas Baptist in this PG Cares field at Veterans Memorial Stadium. Oh, yes, we've got a lot of shout-outs and hellos we're going to get to here in just a little bit, and hopefully Tim LaDuca will join me on the broadcast, maybe another special guest or 3. Looked like an off-speed pitch from Cole Godkin that did just nip the edge of the plate, and now the count is 1-2 on Ben Jones. Freshman left-handed swinger from Durham, North Carolina. His high school teammate Brandon Garcia leads off at first. Medium lead from Garcia. Looks like he's itchy over there. He faked the run. Ben Jones will foul off an inside fastball, and we'll try the 1-2 delivery again. Yeah, Ben Jones was 0 for 2 with 2 walks in his game against ETBU a few nights ago. Did have a stolen base. Avery Neves had 2 stolen bases in that win against the Tigers of East Texas. Here's the pitch from Godkin. Oh, that ball's ripped down the line by Ben Jones. It'll kick into the right field corner. Brandon Garcia, turn and burn around second. He's going to get waved home. Right fielder misplayed the ball slightly. Watch out for Ben Jones. He slides in safely with a triple that has scored 1. Look at him boogie out there on the base paths. Ben Jones, an RBI triple. He's on the dance floor and 90 feet away from the DJ with Avery Neves batting and nobody out in the bottom of the first inning. Hornets strike early. We talk about these red waves and these big innings that Lynchburg produces. It was 5 runs a couple nights ago in the first inning against East Texas Baptist. Maybe something like that again. Just a 1-0 lead right now. We'll see how the Tigers can manage and mitigate this storm that appears to be brewing again. How about Ben Jones, RBI triple. Here's the pitch to Neves. He hesitated at that one. It does come across for strike 1. 1-1 count on Avery Neves. Neves had a big knock in the win, an insurance run later in the game, a hard single up the middle. Here comes the pitch from Godkin. Neves swings and misses at a curveball that fell away from the zone, and now it's a 1-ball, 2-strike count. Nobody out. Infield is kind of modified. It's kind of a halfway in for the infield. Here's the pitch to Neves. Breaking ball outside. He did take that one for ball 2. Outfield is regular depth. Not much wind here today in this game. Seems like every other night we've had a lot of wind here at PG Cares Field. None right now. Breaking ball again that Neves laid off of. Nice take, and the count has run full. 3-2 with nobody out in the bottom of the first inning. Lynchburg already sporting a 1-0 lead. Godkin working from the windup with a runner on third base. Here's the pitch to Avery Neves. Neves bouncing ball up the middle. That's through. Lynchburg leads 2-0. Not exactly the missile off the bat from Avery Neves, but he hit it well enough that the pitcher, shortstop, and second baseman had no chance on that bouncing ball through the middle of the infield. 3 straight base hits for Lynchburg. I would classify this as the red wave. It has not crested yet. There is nobody out in the bottom of the first inning. For Sean Pokerock, designated hitter, has been swinging a great bat in postseason play. No activity in the ETBU bullpen just yet. They pulled Godkin fairly early in the first inning of the last game, so I'm just kind of looking and wondering how long the leash will be for Cole Godkin in an elimination game now for ETBU. It is not an elimination game for Lynchburg. They only need to win one today, and they will have 2 tries to do it. Should East Texas Baptist win this ball game, we'll do it again later on around 7 p.m. Fastball inside for ball 1 to Sean Pokerock. Another freshman. 3 freshmen in the first 4 hitters for Lynchburg. That's a storyline that maybe we don't talk about enough of, fans. There is so much experience on this Lynchburg team, but there is so much youth as well. These guys they're grizzled veterans themselves after a long season of over 50 games. 2-0 count for Sean Pokerock. Godkin back in the stretch, pitches high and tight there for ball 3. Avery Neves leading off at first. His team already holding on to the 2-0 advantage. 3 straight base hits. Garcia singled. Jones tripled. Avery Neves singled up the middle. They've gone all around the ballpark, too. 1 to left, 1 to right, and 1 up the middle. Here's the pitch to Pokerock. Fastball for a strike. And now the count is 3 balls and 1 strike with nobody out. Nice sunny day here in Cedar Rapids. There has been some rain our first 3 days. Forecast actually looks a bit better as far as dry conditions today. Here's the pitch from Godkin. Neves running. Fastball for a strike. Throw to second. Neves slides in safely with the feet first slide. I think Pokerock thought that one was a ball, but it was a called strike. And now the count is full. Avery Neves stolen base there. Gets him in scoring position. There is now a left-hander warming up in the bullpen for the Tigers of East Texas Baptist. Godkin set at the waist, checks on Neves. Now picks the leg, fires. Pokerock, ground ball, left side. Shortstop Jake Miller there. Shuffles across, throw in the dirt, but a nice pick over there at first base by Jace Jones will be the first out of the inning. Sean Pokerock was hustling down the line nicely, and it was actually a pretty strong throw velocity-wise from the shortstop Jake Miller. It just bounced in, and the first baseman, Jace Jones, good athletic position. Got down a little bit lower, bending at the knees and the hips to scoop that ball out for out number 1. Eric Hyatt hitting .388 in postseason play. He's had some monster games in postseason play. Here's the pitch from Godkin. Ball down on the dirt. Eric Hyatt had the only hit for Lynchburg for a while. It was the only hit in that 5-run first inning. He ram-jammed a ball down into left field. That's the way I described it. Just what came to me in the moment. 1-0 count for Eric Hyatt. Neves is running. Breaking ball. Throw to third. Neves is in safely with the stolen base. 2 stolen bases in the inning for Avery Neves. He had 2 against East Texas Baptist a couple nights ago, and they were actually just his first stolen bases in more than a month since late April. I think you had to go back to the Guilford game for the last time Avery Neves stole a base. Now he's got 4 swipes in 2 days. Here's Godkin to Eric Hyatt. Hyatt, ball in the outfield. Should be deep enough to score Neves. Maybe not. It's actually drifting, and it will drop in front of the center fielder. That is a soft single. Off the bat, I thought it was hit better than it was. It appeared to be flying a bit, and that was probably part of the reason why the center fielder couldn't get there. He might have misjudged it off the bat as well. That is a single for Eric Hyatt. It is Lynchburg's 4th hit of the inning, and an RBI single for Eric Hyatt. He continues to drive in runs with great efficiency for these Hornets. Gavin Collins, the third baseman, awaits his first pitch of the at-bat. There's 1 out in the bottom of the first. Fastball for a strike, outer half. Collins takes that. Seemed to be timed up, seemed to like it. 0-1 count. Hyatt leads off at first. 3-0 Lynchburg lead in the bottom of the first inning. The blink of an eye, the Hornets are on them. Same pitch, same result, called strike. And now the count is 0-2 on Gavin Collins. Gavin Collins had 2 hits in the first World Series game against Wisconsin Lacrosse. That one was way out of the zone. And against East Texas Baptist, Gavin Collins was 0 for 4. So we'll see if he can remedy those numbers against the Tigers, improve the stat sheet just a little bit. They'll throw over on Eric Hyatt. He's back safely with a head-first dive. Getting some words of encouragement from first base coach Gabe Garcia. Had a great time talking with assistant coaches Michael Solbach and Travis Beasley before the game. They were in high spirits. Collins, he'll hit one in the air to center field. Looks like it'll be a grab by Nick Massarini there. He did have to go back about 5 steps, but hauls in the second out of the inning. Fairly well hit ball from Gavin Collins, but it is recorded for an out. This is Jackson Harding hitting with 2 outs and a man on first. Jackson Harding has been a fixture in the starting lineup since about maybe midway through the year. There was some platooning going on where he would play one game of a doubleheader but not the other. And, of course, that has been a theme for Lynchburg basically until we got to the postseason. Multiple lineup combinations, almost too many to count, really. In Lynchburg, I think the number in the regular season was that they only duplicated a lineup twice. Harding looks at strike 1, and it is an 0-1 count with 2 outs. Godkin, set, looks in, fires. Harding puts one in the left center gap. This is going to be down. Hyatt around second. Let's see if Harding goes for second. Yes, he will. He'll read the high throw from the center fielder's hand and take the extra base. Fantastic base running and baseball IQ from Jackson Harding. He hit it well in the left center gap. He was turning around the bag, and as he saw the angle of the throw from the center fielder, Nick Massarini, he then put his head down and booked it into second. Hyatt was safe at third, so well played there. And let's see if it produces a fruitful result for these Lynchburg Hornets. An extra runner in scoring position now in the form of Jackson Harding. That is hit number 5 of the inning. And if you haven't realized it, that's more than Lynchburg had in the entire game against East Texas Baptist the first time these squads met. That was the theme and the storyline for a lot of folks. They were asking Lynchburg, hey, have you ever scored 8 runs on just 3 hits? Have you ever had a game like that? And Eric Hyatt said, yeah, we've had a lot of games like that this season, actually. This one may be shaping up a little bit different. The bats are awake early. 5 hits already. 3 runs on 5 hits. Here's Holden Fiedler. He took ball 1. Now he takes strike 1. 1-1 count for a guy that's hitting over 300 in postseason play. Holden Fiedler had 3 hits on Friday against Wisconsin Lacrosse. 1-1 count on Cole Godkin, who's back to the windup. Infield regular depth. Shortstop maybe in a little bit more shallow than you might expect. Here's the pitch to Fiedler. Breaking ball. This misses the zone. Good stop from Nick Chavez, the catcher. And the count is 2 balls and 1 strike. 9-hole man Carson Atkins on deck. So, yeah, Lynchburg scored 5 runs on 1 hit the first time these ball clubs met in the first inning. This first inning is 3 runs on 5 hits. Holden Fiedler will look at an inside fastball, shaking the head. Now he seems to be ready to go. 2-2-2 across the board. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Fiedler, the catcher for Lynchburg, hitting against Cole Godkin. Hyatt leads off at third. Harding at second. Fiedler will flare this one foul into the press box area, and we'll repeat it. Lynchburg crowd is alive again as usual. I think the crowd was grateful for a day off yesterday, actually. The kids, they've got unlimited energy. The players, it's us adults that needed the day off. 2-2 coming to Fiedler. Oh, just barely stayed alive there. He was very fooled on an off-speed offering from Godkin, but Fiedler just able to kind of flip the hands at it and just stay alive. That's excellent hitting. It's not hitting that necessarily looks pretty on the replay, but that is an excellent way to hit and stay alive in an at-bat. Good hand-eye coordination. Fiedler will get another chance. That fastball is upstairs for ball 3. And now the count is full. Yeah, I'm gonna revisit that little spoil there, that little flip of the hands from Holden Fiedler. I really like that. Runners on second and third, full count, 2-out pitch coming up from Godkin. Fiedler will stay alive here, flares it into right field. Long run, but the grab will be made out there by Brett Wagner to take a hit away and save 2 more runs, really. But a great first inning for Lynchburg. They put up a 3-spot, 5 hits in there, including the triple from Ben Jones. And all of a sudden, the Hornets are in control again. Still a lot of baseball left as we get ready to go to the second inning here from PG Cares Field in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Top 2 here in Cedar Rapids. It's Ben Lee leading off for East Texas Baptist, and he finds himself hitting in a 3-0 deficit. Lynchburg, 3 runs on 5 hits in that first inning. And a change for Lynchburg. There were no walks or hit by pitch in that inning as well. This is back to what I have said all season long. This Lynchburg team can beat you in so many ways. They can have a game where they score 8 runs and only get 3 hits because they're going to take the walks. They're going to get hit by some pitches. They're going to pressure the defense with base running, putting balls in play, making you make some bang-bang plays as they hustle down the line. They're going to bunt. They're going to do all those things. And then they're going to have some games where the bats do explode. They do bust out. They knock out double-digit hits. Ben Lee swings on one and fouls it away. Count should be 1-2. It is. Nobody out here. West Arrington, a fast start. And that's the other way that Lynchburg beats teams in a multitude of ways. They'll win those low-scoring games. They'll win a pitcher's duel. They'll have a guy like Brandon Pond go 9 complete the way he did against East Texas Baptist. They can beat you that way. They can beat you with the bullpen. So many key options to come in and close down a game. So it's very impressive, and I think it's a trait of a lot of great teams, and you could send that thought to multiple sports as well. The great teams can do multiple things. They're good at multiple things. When you take away one thing, they're going to go to plan B or C or D or on down the line. This Lynchburg team fits the bill, and they're showing it on the big stage here against the best competition. Fastball inside from Arrington missed. The count is now full at 3-2. Good at bat from Ben Lee. He's fouled off a couple while we were talking about how great Lynchburg is as a team. Arrington set just above the belt, ready to fire. Ball banged into center field. Long run for Carson Atkins. He turns around, sees it at the track. Did he pull it in? Oh, it hit the glove and stayed in play, but bounced down to the ground. This is going to be a triple for Ben Lee. A long triple, call it 398 feet, maybe more actually, because Atkins, I think he got above the line of the wall to get his leather on that, and he couldn't pull it in cleanly, but he does keep the ball in the ballpark. So he saves a run for Lynchburg, and it's one that Arrington will probably feel like he should have caught, but what a long run to get there. Lined it up perfectly on a ball that was going to sneak over the fence from Ben Lee. The first hit of the ball game for East Texas Baptist. You knew they weren't going away quietly. They fell behind 7-0 yesterday to Salisbury and then ran off 21 in a row. So don't expect East Texas Baptist to be waving a white flag anytime soon. And that's another trait of these teams at this stage. They never say die. They're never ready to quit, especially in these legendary seasons like these two ball clubs have had. This is the first national championship or College World Series appearance for each of these two teams. They don't want it to end now. And you got to admit that the Tigers should have gained some momentum yesterday. You beat a great team in Salisbury 21-7. I don't see how that wouldn't give you some confidence. Brett Wagner takes strike two. It's a 1-2 count on a player who has had a good trip to Cedar Rapids so far. Brett Wagner has driven in 4 in the 3 games, 6 hits across 3 games. 2-2 count as the slider from Wesley Arrington missed. Arrington adjusting the hat. The defense is back for Lynchburg, the interior defense, the 4 infielders. Here's the pitch from Arrington. Another slider in the dirt. That is ball 3. Talked about I like the matchup for Lynchburg because Wesley Arrington's stuff is very similar to Brandon Pond's stuff. Upper 80s fastball with a hard slider. Can go to a third pitch when necessary, but when they're really on, it becomes just that fastball-slider combo. Bouncing ball up the middle. Brandon Garcia fields, sidearm throw. Good stretch by Eric Hyatt to stay on. Did he stay on? Yes, there's the call from the umpire. The umpire was pointing at the foot, and sometimes they point at the foot because the foot came off, whereas a lot of times if they make the out, they just call him out. But in this case, we had a point and then an out call. But it is a run scored. Shutout is over for Lynchburg. And now it's a 3-1 ball game. You assume Lynchburg is going to keep scoring, but again, if you watch enough baseball, you know that can be a false assumption sometimes, as strange things happen in a baseball game. Think back to East Texas Baptist. They got 3 runs off Brandon Pond in the first inning. They probably figured, hey, we're in business here. Let's load up for more. But Brandon Pond then just threw 8 shutout innings after that for a masterpiece complete game. He was in the kitchen cooking. Those were the analogies that I was using. Slicing and dicing, using all the spices and the extra mustard in there. Bouncing ball foul from Nick Masserini, the center fielder. It's Jace Jones hitting. I beg your pardon. Masserini is on deck. So you never really know in this game of baseball. The start, the first inning, can be an indicator sometimes. But other times it has nothing to do what will happen when the game goes on. Fly ball retrieved by Jackson Harding for out number 2. And now it is Nick Masserini, the center fielder, stepping in the right-handed batter's box to take on Wesley Arrington. Arrington looks good so far. 26 pitches in here in the top of the second inning. Lynchburg will have Carson Atkins due up in their half of the second, 9-1-2 for the Hornets. So there's another box checked. Turn the lineup over a bunch, as much as you can. Leadoff man Brandon Garcia will be getting his second at bat in the second inning for Lynchburg. Fastball for a strike from Wesley Arrington. It's a 1-1 count with 2 outs. The hitter is Nick Masserini. Try to knock out some of those hellos and shout-outs in the top of the third. Or the bottom of the second, rather. And I say knock out. That makes it sound like it's a chore or a duty. We have so much fun saying hello to everybody listening, live or after the fact. Some people will be tuning in on the delay. Or maybe in 10 or 20 years from now, you'll go back and listen to this. That'll be fun. Let's plan on doing that. Hard shot up the middle. Garcia's going to give chase a dive, but he will not get there. And that's a seeing eye single by Nick Masserini. Second hit of the ball game for East Texas Baptist, and it's the second hit of the inning. It will bring up their catcher, Nick Chavez. He's doing fine work defensively, and he's got 4 hits this tournament himself. He's driven in 6. Nick Chavez, the catcher. The Tigers from East Texas Baptist are in powder blue tops today with gray pants, black stripe down the side. Got some blue accents in there. Strike 1. For Wesley Arrington. I think he went with the slider. Runner on first is Nick Masserini. Arrington set, looks in over the left shoulder. A little bit of a wide throw on a pickoff attempt, but Eric Hyatt tracks it down. A little bit of a breeze developing now here at PG Cares Field. Said the flag was still earlier. some movement. Does feel like the breeze is blowing in. Ball one, rather. It's a 1-1 count on Nicholas Chavez, the 8-hole hitting catcher for the Tigers. Arrington will have another pickoff toss attempt, kind of same location. If you look at a clock face for the first baseman and Eric Hyatt's head is at 12 o'clock, those throws are coming over at 2 o'clock. A little bit high and right from Wesley Arrington, but Hyatt's catching them. 1-2 count as Arrington pumps a fastball at the knees for the second strike of the at-bat. 2 outs in the top of the first inning. It's a 3-1 ball game. Arrington staring at the signals from Holden Fiedler. Now the battery is ready to work. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Oh, just missed. Half the defense for Lynchburg was on their way to the dugout, but that's ball 2. And now it's the old deuces wild here in the second inning. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 outs to Nick Chavez. Arrington might go back to that same spot, inside fastball potentially. Outfield straightaway, normal depth on the 8-hole hitter for the Tigers of ETBU. Hornets defense ready. Here's the pitch from Arrington. Bouncing ball up the middle. 4-hopper to Ben Jones. He'll catch and then tag the runner. That was Nick Masserini, who was running hard. There was a little bit of a hard contact there, but no problem. And Ben Jones holds on to the baseball for the final out of the inning. But ETBU is on the board. It is now a 3-1 Lynchburg lead as they come to hit in the bottom of the second. You're listening to all the action from the D3 Baseball Championships in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, live on the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network. Kyle Haney hanging out with you on the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network. Let's start off by saying hello to all of our fellow LHSN team that is listening. I'm thinking about the crew like Evan Gates, Sam Graham, Andrew Watson. We got even more we got to say hello to. We were going to get to Caroline Inskeep in a moment as far as our scorekeeping issues that always befuddle and bewilder me. And Inskeep, I don't know. I'm too hard on the defense because Tim LaDuca thinks more things should be called hits. And that's an interesting note about the other night, fans. I was saying Brandon Pond only allowed 3 hits because on my scorecard, I felt that there were only 3 hits, and there was an extra Lynchburg error in there. But the official scorekeeper here in Cedar Rapids disagreed with me. Tim LaDuca, our fearless leader, disagreed with me. And I would love to get Inskeep's opinion on those plays as well. But I need to be kinder to the defense and nicer to the hitters is apparently what it comes down to. I think I gave Brandon Pond an extra strikeout in there as well. That was just a mistake. That wasn't a difference of opinion. That was just a mistake. But anyway, it's fun. And we'll continue it here with Carson Atkins hitting. He'll swing on a 2-0 pitch and foul it backwards. Got to say hello to the families of our LHSN team because I know they've really gotten on board with this postseason run and gotten into it. I mean, Bill Gerke is like the biggest Lynchburg Hornet fan there is now because of Caroline Gerke and the incredible work she does for Lynchburg. Everybody up here with the NCAA representative was just blown away talking about Gerke. She's awesome. She's awesome. And the whole team is awesome. And how about this baseball team as Carson Atkins does take the first walk of the game for Lynchburg. So that's still an element in the offensive game plan for Lynchburg. Patient approach, taking the walks. And it will be the leadoff man, Brandon Garcia, back up there. Got to say hi to the Sam Rice family. They're all around, but specifically up there in Northern Virginia. And I got to check out that miniature golf course. That's kind of an inside joke, but it's a real thing. It's not a joke. As Brandon Garcia will take a breaking ball for strike one. Atkins leads off at first. The Tim LaDuca family and fans, which are spread out amongst, I'm going to say conservatively, the Eastern Seaboard, but perhaps the whole world, including his good friend John Wolf, who likes to tune in. John Wolf, I don't know that he has a home base. He's like that guy who he moves around from place to place because he does oddball things like that. 0-2 count on Brandon Garcia. But, yeah, the LaDuca fans up in Rochester, New York, I'm sure will revisit this game if they're not watching live. We'll keep it going to a former Hornet, a current Hornet, actually, and also a sister of Eric Hyatt, that is Emma Hyatt, who is showing us her skills in things like darts and foosball and pool yesterday. And she was an outstanding soccer player on the women's soccer team at Lynchburg. And she's a big fan of this baseball team, not just because of brother Eric, but because of this entire ball club and the coaching staff. Garcia has to take evasive action on a fastball that would have hit him in the knee if he didn't move out of the way. And now it's a 1-2 count on the freshman shortstop, Brandon Garcia. But Emma Hyatt on a flight, so she is watching. Garcia spins one into center field, long run for Masserini. He won't get there, and it's back-to-back singles for Brandon Garcia. That's the 6th hit of the ball game for Lynchburg as a team, and they've got the first 2 batters of an inning on again in back-to-back innings. Ben Jones, all he did was triple down the right field line in his first plate appearance. The outstanding numbers for Benny Bombs, they continue. The power hitting prowess from this freshman from Lynchburg is through the roof. On the season now, Ben Jones has 12 doubles, 3 triples, and 8 home runs. Got to be feeling good against Godkin. Yeah, he was. He unleashed that big Benny Bombs hack right there, but comes up empty on the first pitch. It's an 0-1 count. You've got Avery Neves on deck. You could argue the sacrifice bunt might be the play here, believe it or not, with runners on first and second with nobody out. But I think Coach Lucas Jones prefers to try to use Ben Jones's power the best way possible. Another good hard hack from Ben Jones. Swing and a miss. And now it's an 0-2 count. Atkins leading off at second, Garcia at first. The offensive activity from Lynchburg has forced us to put the hellos and the shout-outs on hold for the moment. Cole Godkin still in there for ETBU. He's lasted longer than he did first time these two teams met on Saturday. Just barely misses the plate with a fastball, and the count is 1-2 on Ben Jones. Outfield, really surprisingly, is not that deep considering Ben Jones' power. Maybe that's my opinion, but I think the numbers back that up too, right? Just read them off. Here's the pitch from Godkin. Oh, that ball hit Ben Jones. So that trend has continued for Lynchburg. They are not going to get out of the way if you throw it in their batter's box. They will take the free base runners. That was really what doomed East Texas Baptist the first time these two teams met on Saturday. That was the 8-3 Lynchburg win where they only got 3 hits, but they got 15 free base runners when you combine the walks and the hit batters. There's the first hit by pitch of the game, and here comes our first mound visit of the game. There is still a left-hander warming up in the bullpen for East Texas Baptist, and we will see that lefty in just a moment. Let's pause here for a brief second to collect our thoughts and catch our breath, and we'll meet the new pitcher for ETBU in just a second. Second pitcher of the game for East Texas Baptist will be Jacob Sherman. Number 31 will enter with an 8.8 earned run average. This will be appearance number 15 for Jacob Sherman. Not all out of the bullpen, but mainly out of the bullpen in relief for this left-handed arm for the Tigers. All right, let's continue saying hello to some folks. I haven't seen Brandon Pond's uncle here, so I know he's got us locked in. They're listening in the nation's capital, enjoying the fun there. And let's say a special hello to all the other Lynchburg athletes and coaches. We said hi to the LHSN staff, and most of them are actually athletes as well. But all the Lynchburg coaches and players, I know they are loving this ride, and they are just so proud of what everybody on the baseball team has done, the other coaching staff. There is a very cool video on the Lynchburg Hornets social media spots right now of a bunch of our different athletes and coaches sending out some greetings and some positive wishes, positive vibes to the team. That's a really, really cool video, and so nice that some folks could get on board with that. There was actually a few that we couldn't get in there, so sorry if you sent your clip in and we couldn't use it. You know, you're limited a bit on the time, but it's on the social media. We got some great pregame shots and video. It's all part of the incredible fan and student experience at the University of Lynchburg. I think the bar is set really high, and our Lynchburg media team does so much with their resources. They get a whole lot out of just a little bit. Let's see how much Avery Neves can get out of this situation. He is the hitter with the bases loaded and nobody out in the top of the second. Lynchburg looking to pick up where they left off in the first inning, where they scored 3 runs. None on the board yet, but they are knocking on the door and threatening to break that door off the hinges again. Fastball for strike one on Avery Neves from the lefty, Jacob Sherman. Sherman working out of the windup, glove in front of his face. Now he'll twist and fire. Fastball inside. That must have been low and in, and it's ball one. Atkins leads off at third. He walked. Brandon Garcia, soft single, standing at second. Ben Jones was hit by a pitch. He's at first. Outfield shaded to pull on Neves. Again, not very deep. He will lift one into the outfield. Atkins tagging, good speed at third. Right fielder will make the catch. Wagner's going to throw into home. We may have a play here, and we do, but Atkins beat the throw. Garcia will move up 90 feet. Ben Jones had to stay at first base. That is a sacrifice fly for Avery Neves. So a successful at bat. And you know, it's interesting when you look at Neves' postseason numbers, he doesn't have a ton of hits, but they're all big hits, and he's driven in a lot of runs. Avery Neves has now driven in 17 games in postseason play. And that is just so typical of his quality. He's a back-to-back All-American for a reason. Numbers took a little bit of a dip this year, but he's still very, very good. ETBU threw over to third base there to see if Carson Atkins left early. He did not, and the sacrifice fly will stand. That's Lynchburg's 4th run of the ball game. There is one out. Sean Pokerock hitting. He grounded out to shortstop in his first at bat. Another guy that's driven in a ton of runs here in this postseason run for Lynchburg, Sean Pokerock. Lynchburg is 12-2 in postseason baseball. They've won 11 of their last 12. Fastball, outer half for a strike on the freshman, number 18, Sean Pokerock. It's all freshmen out there on the diamond right now for Lynchburg. Garcia at third, Ben Jones leading off at first, and Sean Pokerock in the batter's box. The future is right now for this Lynchburg baseball team. Jones running, fastball, no throw to second, and now it is 2 in scoring position for Sean Pokerock, but he's fallen into an 0-2 hole pretty quickly. 4-1 Lynchburg leads. We are in the bottom of the second inning here at PG Cares Field in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Jacob Sherman going to go back to the windup. Kicks and deals. And Pokerock will flare one into the parking lot, foul. On deck is Eric Hyatt, the guy we've spent some time talking about, and a guy that has an RBI single already in this ball game, Eric Hyatt. Here comes another 0-2 delivery to Pokerock. Low and in. That was one where Pokerock got out of the way. I said Lynchburg does not get out of the way when you throw it in their batter's box. That one, maybe Pokerock did move slightly. Looks can be deceiving, though. Here comes another pitch from Sherman. Pokerock, ground ball left side, but that's foul. Good footwork and speed out of the dugout by Nathaniel Mack to retrieve the foul ball. A rare play-by-play breakdown of a foul ball catch there, but Nathaniel Mack made it look so good. I was compelled and forced to talk about it. 1-2 to Hyatt. Check swing. Did he go? Looking for an appeal from the home plate umpire has called it. Home plate umpire has called it on the check swing. So that's strike 3 swinging on Sean Pokerock. And now there's 2 outs in the bottom of the second inning. Here's Eric Hyatt, 1 for 1 with that RBI single an inning ago. Caroline Inskeep says she's tough on fielders too. She feels my pain as far as those error or hit decisions. Here's the pitch from Sherman to Eric Hyatt. Curve ball for a strike. Now the count is 0-1 with 2 outs on the sophomore first baseman for Lynchburg. Lump him in that youth movement thing, I think. Brandon Garcia thinking about maybe stealing home. Hyatt, another ram jam into left. Running on to make the catch will be Ben Lee, though. He does take it out of the sky nicely. So Lynchburg leaves a couple more in scoring position. They do get 1 across, and the lead for the Hornets is up to 4-1 after 2 complete in Cedar Rapids at the 2023 D3 Baseball Championships. Monday afternoon baseball, day baseball. We had a lot of folks saying, yeah, I got to try to find a way to listen at work. You know, those night games, even though they were really late, I didn't have anything else to do at 2 in the morning, so it was perfect. But now you may have to adjust your schedule a little bit, and we're so glad that you have done that to make some time for us and the folks that are doing the audio and video combination. We really appreciate that. Thank you for making that happen. And I have had my buddy Austin Higley tell me that you might just have to refresh each browser every so often to make sure they still match up time-wise, because sometimes there is a little bit of a lag there or whatever. I don't know if that's the professional technical term or not. Ground ball from Jake Miller up the middle, and that will squirt through. Brandon Garcia was another one he made a long run for but couldn't get there. And that's the 3rd hit of the ball game for East Texas Baptist. Single from their 9-hole hitter, Jake Miller. Jacob Evangelista is back up. He flew out to right in his first at-bat, ball that he hit fairly well. But as usual, Jackson Harding was positioned perfectly. That was a fun one talking to Jackson Harding. That was midway through the year. He made a really great catch in a win at Fox Field over Randolph-Macon. And I said, man, that was a great grab there to take that hit away in the whatever inning it was. And Harding, the first thing he said was, yeah, Coach Beasley and Coach Garcia, they do such a great job of giving us the scouting report and putting us in the right places. It ended up being actually an easy catch. And it wasn't lip service when he said it. It wasn't like the coaches had trained him to say that. It was just the first thing. It was genuine from Jackson Harding. And that is one big key for Lynchburg. Ball pops out of Fiedler's mitt. He's going to have to try and throw. He will end up eating it as Jake Miller scrambles to second base. That'll go down as a passed ball. And the count is 0-2 on Jacob Evangelista. So just to clean up the thought, the scouting reports and the coaching edge for Lynchburg is definable and palpable. They really do have a coaching staff that is top tier, and we think it's the best in the nation, perhaps at any level of baseball. Sure, there's some other coaching staffs that would be in the conversation and worthy of debate in that conversation. But we'll shift our attention back to the mound and Wesley Arrington. He's working a 1-2 count against Jacob Evangelista. Runner at second is Jake Miller. Arrington looks at Miller, now fires to Evangelista. Slider for strike 3. Second punch out of the game for Wesley Arrington. And there's one out in the top of the third inning. It's a 4-1 Lynchburg lead. Carson Wilson will hit. He's the second baseman for ETBU. Another right-handed hitter. And Arrington does seem to have that slider going. That's a comparison. And one that you can say is similar to Zach Potts and Brandon Pond. High velocity and a high velocity slider as well. They can strike you out with the fastball, of course, and like I said, they can go to a changeup, but when they really start cooking, it a lot of times ends up being a 2-pitch sequence with the fastball and the slider. And of course, when you're talking about fastballs, you can have the 4-seamer, which is the cross seam, and typically a little straighter, maybe a little harder. Sometimes might even cut or move away from the arm side. Then you have that 2-seam fastball, which some people will call a sinker because it has that tail and that sink and that ride back to the arm side. And if you're completely lost right now, we'll stay away from the technical nuts and bolts of pitching and tell you it's a 1-1 count on Carson Wilson, second baseman for ETBU. One out with a runner on second. Arrington does look at that runner and now delivers. Slider missed the zone. It's ball 2. And Wesley Arrington has fans all across the nation. I'm told San Diego, California, Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, of course, a bunch in Virginia. Wesley Arrington from outside Charlottesville, in the central part of Virginia. He is such a likable guy. Makes sense he would have fans everywhere. Check swing on Carson Wilson, and that's strike 2. 2-2 with one out on Carson Wilson. Facing that likable guy, Wes Arrington. Maybe not so likable when you're facing him on the mound. He makes life really difficult on a hitter. See what he goes to here with 2 strikes. Pitch from Arrington. Ball flared down the right field line, and that is foul. Wesley Arrington, I'll point out, this is the first game he has pitched with the shorter hair. He got a haircut recently. Before that, he had the long locks, almost down to the shoulder, not quite that long. Another foul ball from Carson Wilson. And I can't decide which look I like more. Short hair Wes or long hair Wes. He's got those broad shoulders too, stands about 6'2". Wesley Arrington, he makes a scene when he walks into a room. Makes a scene out there on the mound as well. 2-2 pitch coming up to Carson Wilson. Runner bouncing off slightly. Good stop from Holden Fiedler on a slider in the dirt. And now the count will be full. That was the 48th pitch of the ball game for short hair Wes Arrington, who I occasionally mess up and call Wes Anderson, famous movie director. Wes Anderson. I think he has a new picture out, actually. But Wesley Arrington trying to make that scene and make a movie with a big pitch right here. One out. Here it comes. Ball lifted into left field. Avery Neves on the run. Diving grab from Neves, and this one there's no doubt. He had one we thought he laid out and took a hit away on night 1. Wait a minute. The runner's going to get sent to third for some reason. What's going on here? They're going to give – I'm trying to figure this out. I said there was no doubt. What happened? What's the call? They called it a balk on Wesley Arrington. They called a balk on Wesley Arrington on the pitch. And the hitter, Carson Wilson's going to get to try it again. Oh, my goodness. I said no doubt, fans, and they took it away because of a balk before the pitch. So the balk moves the runner up to third base. That's Jake Miller. Wow. Slider in the dirt, and that's going to be a walk. That is a walk now on Carson Wilson. It looked like it was going to be a fly out to left, and now it's runners on first and third. So let me try to recreate it here. The runner at second, Jake Miller, was bouncing off. Arrington must have twitched and made a move before he delivered to the plate. The ball got hit. Avery Neves made an outstanding diving grab, running in and moving to his left. That was a clean catch, but the umpire called a balk on Wesley Arrington. Did something that was not allowed by the rules right before the pitch. So the balk does not count as a pitch. Carson Wilson puts the ankle guard back on, walks into the plate, and then takes a full count walk. That is one of the stranger sequences that you will see. And our umpires, again, it's a situation where they are not mic'd up like you would have maybe in some other sports, and the ump could just come on and say, hey, that's a balk, runner goes to third. But that is exactly what happened. And now it's runners on first and third with one out for a very dangerous hitter, Jordan Hara. He shows the bunt, takes ball one. File that one away as potential game-changing events right there. Jordan Hara is 0 for 1 with a strikeout. That was the punch out to end the first inning. It's a 4-1 ball game in the top of the third. Tigers hitting against the Hornets. There's a two-seam fastball that Hara couldn't figure out for strike one swinging. Jordan Hara is 3 for 12 so far in this College World Series tournament. He's hit safely in 18 of his last 19 ball games. The one he did not get a hit, that was against Lynchburg Saturday night. Fastball from Arrington is at the knees for a strike, and the ETBU dugout was about as noticeably upset about that call as you will ever see in a college game. I mean, their entire dugout jumped up. I thought the pitch was right there at the knee, but of course, I'll admit I might be slightly biased. The umpire even gave a long look over there, and the first base umpire kind of held the hand out as if to say, that's enough, boys. 1-2 pitch coming up from Arrington. That one does miss the zone for ball two. Ben Lee is on deck. And I was going to make the old he's a dangerous hitter statement. You don't want him up with the bases loaded. But with this ETBU offense, they're all dangerous. They really swing it, hitting over 340 as a team. Swing and a miss there. Arrington got him with the two-seam sinker again, and that is out number 2 of the inning. So that is a massive out to not have the bases loaded for this man, Ben Lee. He has driven in 6 so far in this tournament. And on the season, Ben Lee, the sophomore from Sugar Land, Texas, has numbers that are just through the roof, really. Ben Lee has 23 home runs this season. Throw 2 triples and 13 doubles in there as well. The game last night, Ben Lee had a hand in pumping out those 21 runs for ETBU. Obviously, it's a team effort when you score 21 runs. Third time this season that the Tigers from East Texas Baptist have gone over the 20-run mark. So maybe their offense is hitting a stride. Swing and a miss by Ben Lee. That was the breaking ball from Wes Arrington. Arrington will throw over to first again. There are runners on first and third with 2 outs. This is game 3 for Lynchburg, game 4 for East Texas Baptist. And a reminder, Lynchburg only needs to win 1 today. ETBU would have to beat Lynchburg twice. Here's the pitch from Arrington. Oh, yeah. Another slider again that just falls away from the bat of Ben Lee. 0-2 count coming up with 2 outs in the top of the third. It is a 4-1 Lynchburg lead, but still very much a ball game here at PG Cares Field in Cedar Rapids. Arrington looking in for the sign. Fiedler hasn't set up yet. Away target. They got it there, and they got him swinging. Nasty stuff from Wesley Arrington. Short hair, don't care. Wes Arrington's turning up out there on the mound for Lynchburg to leave a couple stranded. Hornets lead 4-1 as we move to the bottom of the third inning. 2023 D3 Baseball Championship here on LHSN. And we get to hear from our fearless leader, Tim LaDuca, coming up next. Welcome back, One Nation. Yeah, we're having a blast here in Cedar Rapids, and I do have my guy, our fearless leader, technical, spiritual advisor, ultimate Frisbee enthusiast, and we found out he's darn good at some other activities, too. It's none other than Tim LaDuca.
You got to tell them what those activities are. This leaves a little bit too much up to the imagination.
Right, yes. The other activities of the day yesterday were foosball and pool and darts.
A little bit of darts.
And just great conversation and camaraderie all the way around.
I'm also really good at being a fan of this Lynchburg baseball team, and they started the same way they started last time. I was up here watching with you, and I very quickly had to go down to the field to get the card from Sam so I could put some video highlights up, making me work in the first inning with all those runs they scored.
Yeah, impressive stuff from the Lynchburg offense. Gavin Collins did just fly out here in inning number 3 for Lynchburg. They lead 4-1. It's Jackson Harding who doubled in his first at bat. But yeah, Tim, this Lynchburg team makes it real easy to be a fan, don't they? And I mean that from our perspective, but I think everybody else here in Cedar Rapids, this Lynchburg team has really endeared themselves and made a lot more fans out here.
Oh, yeah, Tommy Parker is driving the team around this week. He's the bus driver, and I had the privilege of standing next to him 2 nights ago during Lynchburg's last game against East Texas Baptist, and he was keyed up for this team. I mean, he was saying, balls in the dirt, telling them to take extra bases, yelling good at bat. He was so locked into this team. And you got to imagine some of that's because of the character that he gets to see on the team on the bus when he drives them around all week.
Strike 3 swinging for Jackson Harding. So there's 2 outs pretty quickly here for this likable ball club. And the left-hander Jacob Sherman, maybe he's stabilizing things a bit here for East Texas Baptist. Hitter will be Holden Fiedler. And speaking of just all-time nice guy list, Holden Fiedler will be on it and probably near the top, and he's a guy that's been doing it for so long for Lynchburg, a 5-year player. That's the other thing about Lynchburg. There's so many veterans that people have been watching for so long. You do feel like you know them and you've grown up with them. I mean, 5 years is half a decade. It's a long time to be watching somebody, and Fiedler and Carson Atkins, of course, are the career leaders in games played. 0-2 count pretty quickly on Mr. Fiedler. Here's the pitch, breaking ball in the dirt. He was able to lay off, so now it's 1 ball and 2 strikes.
When you think about what Carson Atkins said, last year they looked around the locker room after losing in the regional and said, if we all come back, we're coming back to win a national championship. And sometimes you may roll your eyes at, hoorah, hype-up speeches like that. But that team, when they said that at the end of the year, that they meant that. And it's really cool to see them fulfilling that goal that they're here competing at the highest level, 3 wins away from a national championship.
Strike 3 looking on Holden Fiedler. He disagreed, and he'll have to put the gear on. Maybe he can have a chat with the home plate umpire about just where that pitch was. But it is strike 3 and the end of an inning. And the first inning that Lynchburg has gone 3 up, 3 down. We move to the top of the 4th in Cedar Rapids. Lynchburg leading East Texas Baptist 4-1 here on the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network. Kyle and Tim hanging out with you in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And we're so glad you're in the mix this Monday afternoon. Lynchburg, last time we saw them, Tim, it was against this East Texas Baptist University team, who is really, really good. That's the other thing about the 8 teams that made it here. Gosh, they're all good. You're going to get the best competition. If you want to test yourself against the best, you're in this tournament. And that makes what Brandon Pond did with that complete game a couple nights ago so much more impressive, knowing that it's probably in the biggest game of the year. I think you could say every game at this point is your biggest game of the year. And Pondo just delivered a game that I think Lynchburg fans are going to be talking about for a long time to come. And
in the storied history of Pond's career, he did something that night he hadn't done in his college career. He's a pitcher of the year in the conference, and he had never gone 9 innings. And how about you go 9 innings the best against one of the top 8 teams in the country? That was so impressive. He had such great stuff. And, he always has a little trouble in the first inning. He had more than a little trouble in the first inning. He got knocked around 3 runs in the first frame from this Texas team. And to be able to lock back in, even though that's some adversity he faces, was really impressive. And it was all kind of effortless, too. You didn't even kind of notice he had gone against the minimum through 8 innings. And, it was just such a spectacular performance to watch.
Oh, that ball got hit off of Wesley Arrington's foot, but directs right to Ben Jones at second base, who grabs it and throws it to first for the initial out of the inning. Hard hit by Brett Wagner. Wes Arrington is fine. He looked in the dugout and gave him the thumbs up. So, I don't know, official scorekeeper, is it 1-4-3 or
yes,
is it
sir.
just 4-3? It is 1-4-3.
Sir. Yeah, it is 1-4-3. And even though he didn't touch it on purpose or even help with the play at all, even though he actually might have.
Yeah, no, he did. Laser shot to center field. Atkins running on. He will snatch that one out of the air with a backhand grab, moving to his right over by Avery Neves. Didn't have to dive. That's because of the speed from Carson Atkins. A lesser human being would have had to dive on that one, but Atkins grabs it, and we've got 2 outs in the inning. Jace Jones there was swinging at the first pitch.
To let the fans at home know how far Atkins had to run. Yeah, he may have had to dive for it, but I think Avery Neves could have camped under that one. Carson Atkins went all the way into left field to catch that one and did it in a mild jog. He did have to reach a little bit, but he made the play.
Second out of the inning by the mild jogging Carson Atkins there. Arrington misses the zone on the first pitch, so it's a 1-0 count on Nick Masserini. I talk about Lynchburg so much offensively, but, man, defensive prowess. And Brandon Pond was quick to admit the guys really gloved it behind me the other night. And that's, again, the Hornets always seem to do that. Bouncing ball up the middle. Arrington snares it. He'll underhand it to Eric Hyatt. And there's a 3-up, 3-down inning for Lynchburg defensively. We are through 3.5, and the Hornets still on top of the Tigers 4-1 in 2023 Division III baseball national championship play. Bottom of the 4th inning coming up here between Lynchburg and East Texas Baptist. The Hornets lead 4-1. Kyle and Tim hanging out with you. Another element of this Lynchburg team gaining more and more fans, I think, is those post-game press conferences. We've seen 2 of them for Lynchburg. They're human. I'm not going to say they've said all the right things, but I think they've said so many things that people have latched onto and gotten a hold of. And Coach Lucas Jones, he doesn't like the coach speak and the coaching cliches, so he goes out of his way to try to not use those, and it's so refreshing, in my opinion.
Well, it's a tightrope you have to walk because, you can avoid the coaching cliches, and then you start backing yourselves into an alleyway, with the media talking about, the wrong thing. So you have to say something interesting and meaningful, but you also have to make sure that you're not going to be on the front page of TMZ the next morning.
Right.
So
right.
It's hard, and you deal with the freshmen, and now from a sports information perspective, I'm considering if my teams are going to be playing at these high tournaments, do I have to give them preparation on how to deal with the media? It's something that I have to consider now.
Swung on by Carson Atkins, ripped into center field. Masserini is there, and he will make the grab to retire his counterpart. The center fielder for Lynchburg, Carson Atkins, will be the first out of the bottom of the 4th inning.
Atkins been putting so many good swings on the ball even the last few weeks. Think about the would-be grand slam he hit in Rocky Mount a couple weeks ago that was just caught, similar to 2 nights ago. Mm-hmm. He did get the sacrifice fly there, but he just needs one to fall in.
I think the outs are a little bit longer in the last week or two. They're a little bit louder. So I think Atkins, you're right. The bat's getting ready to heat up. Here's Brandon Garcia. He's already hot at 2 for 2 in this ball game. And this is his second time facing Jacob Sherman. Cole Godkin was the starter again for East Texas Baptist. He started the first time these 2 ball clubs played on Saturday. There's a good snapper breaking ball from Sherman that Garcia lays off of. Brandon Garcia has just been ridiculous his freshman season. 18 multi-hit games. That does include this ball game here today. 18 multi-hit games for a freshman. He takes strike 2, and now the count is even at 2-2.
And he's going to have the most at-bats in this tournament for this Lynchburg team batting leadoff.
Flares one to the third baseman. Grab made there by Jacob Evangelista.
And I think that really helps increase the confidence of the Raleigh, North Carolina kid because he's just getting more and more looks. And he's the kind of guy that wants to be out there as many times as possible to help his team win. He loves starting off for these guys. He loves it in front of his buddy Benton Jones. And his bats, ever since I've seen him start playing this year, have been professional, which is not easy to do as a freshman.
Jones will lay off the breaking ball from Sherman. Yeah, Brandon Garcia and Ben Jones. That's the combo that Coach Lucas Jones was calling Batman and Robin. Good hard hack from Ben Jones. Nothing there. He is 1 for 1 with a triple and a hit by pitch, by the way, Tim.
And Benton Jones, more of a stoic, quiet kid. He may be Batman in that situation.
Good point. That is a good point.
And Robin is the flashy, youthful Brandon Garcia running around with his hair caught on fire, the cape flying back.
You nailed it. No, you absolutely nailed it. I don't know why we didn't think of it earlier, but that's what we pay you the big bucks for.
Benton Jones jacked like Batman is too.
That's true. You're exactly right. You know, we would ask ourselves in the middle of the season, well, who's Batman and who's Robin? And I think we just nailed it right there. It's a 2-2 count rather on Batman, Ben Jones, Benny Bombs. Now he's developing more and more nicknames. Yeah, it works though. It really does.
But a different DC comic, he actually more goes with Ben 10.
Right. Fastball, outer edge, strike 3 looking on Ben 10. Unfortunately, he has to take a stroll back to the dugout, grab his glove, and go play defense. We're through 4 complete. Lynchburg leads 4-1 over East Texas.
Nicholas Chavez stepping to the plate. He's the catcher for East Texas Baptist this afternoon. He's stepping in against Wesley Arrington, who's thrown 66 pitches so far. And Wes has been locked in. Made a good play to retire the side last inning, gloving it. It's good to see him use his glove this time instead of reaching out with the bare hand, which he tried to do on a comebacker up the middle a couple innings prior.
Check swing from Nick Chavez. We'll get strike 2 on the board for Wesley Arrington. Very good with glove in hand, very good with ball in hand. Arrington looks in for the sign on the catcher, from the catcher, and there's a breaking ball for strike 3. That is the 5th strikeout of the ball game for Wesley Arrington. It's the first out here in the top of the 5th inning. So a little bit similar to the first time these teams met. More runs early, and then things kind of quiet down. The pitchers seem to settle themselves a bit. And it's interesting because I think the conventional thought process from a baseball perspective, Tim, is the more looks you get at a pitcher, the average is going to go up. The numbers should go up. And I think the numbers do back that up, but it's not always the case. And maybe that's why it's standing out to me because it hasn't been the case. Here's Jake Miller, shoots one in the left, but there's a sliding grab from Avery Neves. So good on the move. He makes another out for Lynchburg. That outfield for Lynchburg is absolutely elite all the way around. Even some of the options that aren't out there right now that they can go to are just fabulous defenders.
Yeah, and thinking about Jackson Harding 2 games ago with Brandon Pond, he caught a lot of hard line drives hit right at him, moving to his right a little bit sometimes, but those are hard balls, especially in a dark night sky with the way that the lights are here, and you're getting a bunch of different backdrops as it goes up and down, up against the concourse here. And you're right, the fielding has been excellent this year, and especially late. Think about all the plays Brandon Garcia's made it short.
Gavin Collins, third, all the throws on the run that he makes. Ben Jones has made some sneaky good plays. Eric Hyatt over there at first base. Outstanding glove work from Lynchburg. 0-2 count on the leadoff hitter, Jacob Evangelista. Here comes Wesley Arrington. Got the slider low and away. It is ball 1.
Career high in strikeouts for Arrington is 11. He did that early April against Eastern Mennonite when he carried a no-hitter into the 6th inning. So we've seen Arrington rely on the strikeout a lot in previous starts, not so much as of late.
Not going to get one here, and that elite defense is going to be on display again. This was Jackson Harding on the run, making his way to the right field line, and big league style, he flipped the ball into the stands after the catch right there. Excellent stuff from Jackson Harding. Avery Neves leads off for Lynchburg next. They look to add on to their 4-1 lead as we head to the bottom of the 5th inning here at PG Cares Field, Veterans Memorial Stadium in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Bottom 5 here at PG Cares Field in Cedar Rapids. A quick hello and another thank you to Ashley Thornton from Avert University for helping us out last weekend in Super Regional play. But Ashley says she's got us locked in hopefully Hunter Cruz, my guy Hunter Cruz, who Ashley knows has us locked in as well. 0-1 count on Avery Neves. He is leading off this 5th inning for Lynchburg. They lead 4-1. No hits since inning number 2 for Lynchburg, Tim. Kind of a theme we were touching on as far as pitchers settling in, it seems like. Some pitchers do get better as the game goes on. Brandon Pond, obvious, notable example, and we have a game that we can refer to from 48 hours ago where we saw that happen. I think just feel a lot of it. Avery Neves got this one off the end of the bat, does send it into center field. Should be a pretty routine grab out there for Nick Masserini. He does make the first out of the inning. Sean Pokerock stepping up for Lynchburg. Maybe getting used to the mound is some of it, but I think you just get more and more feel on the pitches as the game goes on. So for those elite pitchers like a Brandon Pond, like Wes Arrington, I think as they get more of that feel and know what the breaking ball is going to do, know how much the fastball is going to run, know how much, hey, I can try to throw this one hard and actually still control it. Sometimes, especially early in the year, try to reach back for something extra and it goes halfway up the backstop. Now you're starting to lock in and pinpoint a little bit. So maybe that's the reason. Saw a complete game in the game prior to this here today between Baldwin Wallace and Johns Hopkins.
Yeah, it was the third of the week. Salisbury's pitcher 2 days ago did it as well. Same day as Brandon Pond.
Sean Pokerock flies out to center field. Back-to-back grabs out there for Nick Masserini.
Allie Simon, who is in control from the American Rivers Conference, she told me even with all the good pitching performances, she's never seen a farther home run hit in this stadium than last night from East Texas Baptist, a grand slam that went off one of the houses out in left field. So this East Texas Baptist team isn't going to be quiet for long with only one run on the board. They can swing it with the best of them. It's putting up 21 runs last night.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm actually totaling up the run scoring here for the tournament because that stuff is always interesting to me. In Richmond at the ODAC Championship weekend, we were talking about the ball was flying, high runs, etc. There has been a lot of runs scored, but those 3 complete games are also standing out for some pitchers really getting things done in a big way for their ball clubs. 3-0 count on Eric Hyatt. There is 2 outs in the bottom of the 5th inning. Lynchburg does not have a hit since the bottom of the 2nd. Not going to happen yet as Hyatt takes strike 1. The count is now 3 balls and 1 strike with 2 outs.
The 3-1 count not really representative of Sherman's performance so far today, who coming into that at-bat with throwing 75% strikes, 5-pitch walk, kind of ruins my point. But that shows why this game has been going with a pretty quick pace. Sherman's pounding the zone, and after giving Lynchburg 16 free passes 2 days ago, that has to be the plan of attack for this East Texas Baptist team. We got to live in the strike zone, and if Lynchburg beats us, they're going to beat us.
Eric Hyatt will slide over and cover first. The first baseman actually thought that Sherman was going to pitch on that, so there's a small indicator of how good of a pickoff move he might have if he completely fooled his own first baseman. He did not fool Eric Hyatt, who was back on the dive. Gavin Collins is swinging at the first pitch, and he fouls it away for strike 1. Just run scoring in the tournament so far, Tim. I've done the math. Winners are averaging 11 runs per game. Losers are averaging 5.5 runs per game. That's 16 and a half runs per game against what should be your best pitching, theoretically anyway. Breaking ball for a ball. It's a 1-1 count on Collins. Go ahead.
You do me a favor, though, and maybe take out the most runs scored in one game and the least scored in one game?
Yeah. There's a mathematical term for that, which I'm going to tell you in a second.
Outliers?
You are taking out the outliers.
The box and whisker plot?
Wow. Now, that's not what I was going to call it, but I do like that better. No, that's called a truncated mean. When you scoop some of the ends off and you take out those outliers. It's a 1-2 count. Anybody from the Lynchburg math department listening, get me in there. No, I'm terrible about math. I need to get in there and learn more. 1-2 count on Gavin Collins. Hyatt shuffles off, fastball upstairs for ball 2.
I'm from New York. People say I'm rude and mean. I'm not mean. I'm just a little truncated mean.
Right. That is a sharp wit right there. You are not going to get that on any other broadcast this week. 2-2 pitch coming up to Collins as we try to figure it out. Hyatt running. Collins sprays one to the right side. It's going to be a tough play. Sherman has to get over and cover. Collins beat it. He is safe at first. Oh, and the first baseman, Sherman, can't believe it. He got in the umpire's face a little bit. We do have the option of instant replay. A coach could initiate a challenge, and it looks like we might see that right here. It was bang, bang in every sense of the word down there at first base. It was a weakly hit ground ball off the end of the bat to the right side. The first baseman for ETBU, Jace Jones, went in the hole, collected the ball, flipped it to the pitcher, Jackson Sherman, who was on the move covering, but Gavin Collins was hauling down the line, and it appeared that he beat it. We will see what the instant replay has to say about things.
And I think what added a little bit more to the craziness of that play was Hyatt running before the pitch. Just get everyone a little bit out of position.
Yeah.
And that it opened up that right side of the infield. And who knows, maybe the second baseman, Wilson, is able to make that play if he's not going to first to cover on the steal, and that forces Jones to have to field it himself, the long underhand toss. You got to execute the J drill perfectly, but after, have they challenged the play?
The umpire did make the play on the play under review gesture with the putting the headset on gesture that they do now. Our umpires use that to indicate that there is a replay coming up.
I don't understand why they had to go to the center of the field, talk about it, and now they're going to leave the field. Just now, the umpires are walking off the field to go review this one.
Yeah, there's some plays that aren't reviewable, but that wouldn't be the case there. That's clear. That's clearly a reviewable play. We're getting a happy birthday song to who is it down there for Lynchburg, Tim? The Lynchburg players who are not in uniform.
Timmy Cotton getting the happy birthday serenade there from all of his teammates, and then the fans joined in as well. That's another element that is making people like this Lynchburg team. The guys that aren't in uniform have really been having a good time in the stands here at PG Cares Field. And that shows the close-knit community that this Lynchburg ball team is. 50 players on the roster, only allowed to have about 26 players ready to play. And check out Lucas Jones on the third base. Lucas Jones is fully reclined. He's sunbathing in the third base coaching box right now.
You do not see that very often.
And is this some sort of comment on?
I think it is a comment on delaying the game to look at this call, perhaps. I think that might be Lucas Jones's nonverbal commentary on what he thinks about the situation. But let's remember to ask him about it later on after the game, right? I'll say this. It's been a long postseason. It's been a long trip. It's been a long few days. It takes a toll on the middle-aged and the older fans and coaches. Those late-night games, I don't think it bothers the kids. They're not the ones that need the rest. It's the coaches and the fans that needed that off day yesterday, Tim. Here comes our umpires back. Looks like the review is over. Oh, and they have changed the call and called him out. That is multiple times this week that a review has gone against Lynchburg. So the inning is over in strange fashion. They go and review it. Remember, Lynchburg thought they had an Avery Neves catch a couple nights ago. That one was reviewed, and they ruled it was not a catch. This one, we thought Gavin Collins beat a ball down the line, but instead, that is 1-3 in your scorebook and an end to the fifth inning. Tim, do you want to take a break, or do you want to keep it right here as Wesley Arrington gets some warm-up tosses in, and we're getting ready to start the sixth inning? Lynchburg leads, by the way, fans, 4-1 through 5 complete.
I think it may be time for – has Lucas Jones challenged to play yet this postseason?
He has not, and he was talking about when Jackson Harding got hit by a pitch a couple nights ago against East Texas Baptist. And remember the ruling on that, fans, was that the umpire, in his opinion, which is, of course, the only one that matters in the courtroom of baseball, but the umpire felt Jackson Harding actually leaned into the pitch and called it not only wipe off the hit by pitch, but called it strike 3 on Jackson Harding. And that was one, when you watch the video, it did not seem to agree with the umpire's opinion. And that's not a knock on our umpires. They're human. They make mistakes like we have in the last 5 minutes. You and I have made a bunch of them.
I think getting on the call with you was a mistake.
No, absolutely not. That was not the mistake. But Coach Jones I think the umpire told him his time to challenge had elapsed.
Oh.
You only get 30 seconds, whether you want to decide to challenge or not. And so Coach Lucas Jones did share that with me. We are back to baseball.
Promptly.
They're moving swiftly in between innings. The challenges sometimes don't move swiftly, but it's an 0-1 count as Arrington gets ahead of Wilson pretty quickly. That one just missed. And now the count is 1 ball and 1 strike to the second baseman for ETBU, Carson Wilson, who's 0 for 1 with a walk so far. It's a 3-run Lynchburg lead. There's strike 2 on Arrington's 78th pitch of the ball game. Have not seen anybody warm up yet, but now there is a little bit of activity in the Lynchburg bullpen. Tim, swing and a miss. Arrington got his man there. Punch out number 6 for Wesley Arrington. And it's the first out of the 6th inning.
Yeah, the change-up strikeout pitch was set up really nicely. Dropped it down to 80 miles an hour. The previous pitch was 88, right in just about the same spot. So you got the batter's eyes looking on the inside part of the plate. You gas him up to 88, and then you just slightly touch the brake on 80 miles an hour. Gets the timing completely thrown off, and Wilson swings right through it for another strikeout.
Great observation by you, because I said when Arrington is really cooking, it's mainly fastball slider, but I think he's gone to that change of pace just a bit more today, which, back to his quality, he can go to plan B. He can go to plan C, those kinds of things. Wesley Arrington is that guy. He can make those pitches. 1-1 count on Ben Lee. It's Jordan Hara, I'm sorry. Jordan Hara is 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts.
Lee's up to bat next, and looming on deck is the guy who hit the estimated 450-foot grand slam last night for East Texas Baptist. So pitching to Lee, who's in the on deck circle, is a good idea with runners not on first base.
Ground ball left side. Gavin Collins will come on to pick up the 4-hopper. Throws on the move. Good stretch from Eric Hyatt. That's out number 2 of the inning. And here comes Ben Lee. Yeah, great point. You talked about his big home run yesterday. So I actually got his home run numbers wrong when I told the people listening earlier. Ben Lee has hit 24 home runs now this season and 13 doubles and 2 triples in there as well. Ben Lee has a triple in this game, and he has struck out once. The triple was a ball that was going to go over the fence, but Carson Atkins got up the ladder to keep it in play. Carson Atkins couldn't make the grab for the out, but he did really, save a run. Ben Lee did end up scoring later on, but I still call it saving a run, don't you? Lee will ground one. Here's Collins, can't get to it. Garcia in shallow left field actually caught the ball after Collins missed it, but he was far too deep to attempt to throw on the speedy Ben Lee, and that'll be an infield single. Or, I don't know, Garcia technically caught it in the outfield. Is it still an infield single? I don't know. Official score?
I don't ever have to say infields. I guess I do have to make the deliberation, and I would have said that's an infield single. An infielder fielded the ball.
Yeah, an infielder, exactly.
But yes, fielding it deep, not even on the lip of the dirt. He was 4 or 5 paces into the outfield area, and that's another sign of maturity from Garcia, a guy who may have that play in the bag, moving away from first base.
Ball airborne left side, foul territory, Bermuda Triangle. Gavin Collins will get over the bullpen mound, but it will drift foul.
As I was saying, though, Brandon Garcia moving to his left, he does have the arm and the athleticism to turn and fire that and maybe even make a strike to Hyatt to get the out, but it was a little bit too far, a little bit too risky. And even though he does want to be the hero for this team, he knew the smarter play right now was to holster this one, and he didn't even make the attempt to first. Could have turned into extra bases for Lee.
Yeah, Lee was really moving. I think slower base runner, and Garcia probably would have thought about uncorking it. Speaking of uncorked, hit well. Atkins going to have to go back to the track. Oh, he makes the grab this time at the warning track, pounds into the wall, and then gives a fist pump as he's sprinting back in the dugout. More elite defense from Lynchburg in the outfield. It's the center fielder, Carson Atkins, taking a hit away, saving a run. Lynchburg still leads by 3 as we move to the bottom of the 6th inning in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. East Texas Baptist gets their first hit since the third inning, but the runner is left stranded thanks to some fine defensive work from Carson Atkins. Went straight back over his head. Really had to turn right around behind, get to the warning track, make a little backhand grab up high, and then bangs into the wall, but holds on. The runner is stranded. Lynchburg's lead is preserved at 4-1. Now let's see if the Hornets can maybe use that as some momentum and add on a little bit. How about Wesley Arrington? Tip the cap to Wes again. He has pitched 6 complete so far. Jackson Harding swinging at the first pitch, and he'll shoot that through the right side for a single. And that's Lynchburg's first hit since the second inning. So the bats went a little cold there thanks to some good pitching and great defense as well. But now maybe Lynchburg is heating up. Holden Fiedler steps in. He's 0 for 2 with a strikeout.
It seems like Jackson Harding always comes up to lead off an inning when Lynchburg needs a spark, and he very frequently delivers as he gets the line rolling here in the 6th.
The key man. Sacrifice bunt shown by Harding. He'll take it for ball 1, a pitch that was out of the zone. 1-0 count. Harding leads off at first. Lynchburg leads 4-1. We're in the bottom of the 6th inning. Kyle Haney and Tim LaDuca spending some time with, a couple thousand of our closest friends, and whoever revisits this one in the time machine as well. Harding will put down a nice bunt right side. He'll hustle down the line, but the first baseman does come on and make the play. That was Jace Jones flipping to Carson Wilson, who is covering. Harding moves up into scoring position. First runner Lynchburg has had in scoring position since the second inning. Lynchburg line score. They scored 3 in the first on 5 hits. They scored 1 in the second on 1 hit. Donuts in innings 3, 4, and 5. They got a walk in there and a hit by pitch as well. Hyatt walked. Ben Jones was hit by a pitch actually in the second inning. Carson Atkins swings at the first ball, and that is strike 1.
Just to give myself some credibility, Jackson Harding batting .300 as the leadoff guy in an inning.
And that's all season?
Mm-hmm.
That's a great stat right there. You need to share some of those with me. Here's the pitch from the lefty, Jacob Sherman. It is ball 1. Sherman has pitched effectively. Remember, he came in the game in that second inning. So he's done his job for East Texas Baptist. And he has stuck to what we think is probably the game plan for the Tigers, Tim. That's throw strikes. Don't give Lynchburg free passes. 1-1 count on Carson Atkins. That one is not a strike. That's ball 2. There's 1 out. Jackson Harding retreating back to the bag. He stands there after a leadoff single, and the Holden Fiedler sacrifice bunt. 2-1 pitch coming up to Carson Atkins. Sunshine and blue skies here in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Ball 3. That one was low. A little bit of rain adjusted the schedule yesterday. Lynchburg, of course, had the day off, but the other games got pushed back a bit. We had the rain delay on the first day, Friday, that caused the late start. That was when we got into the One Nation After Dark, D3 baseball after dark. So much fun. 3-1 count here for Carson Atkins. Here's the pitch. Good hack, but misses it. And now we are full with 1 out. Brandon Garcia on deck. He's 2 for 3. Ben Jones is 1 for 2 with that RBI triple in the first inning that got the run-scoring party started for the Hornets. They were buzzing around in that first inning. Classic Lynchburg baseball right there. Here comes Atkins in the 6th inning. Ground ball left side. That's foul in between the umpire, third baseman, and Coach Lucas Jones.
Convenient from the ground ball there from Carson Atkins drew our attention to the bullpen where Zach Potts is warming up for the Hornets.
It's 2 days rest this time for Zach Potts. He did make the start on Friday, pitched 7 strong innings to get the win, still undefeated on the season, Zach Potts. Here comes another full count to Atkins. Another foul ball. This one went straight back. Potts was cooking on Friday. Just classic Zach Potts stuff. Keeping his game, keeping his team right where they need to be. Got some strikeouts, got some firepower, got some support from the defense, and, of course, the offense. Lynchburg winning an 8-6 ball game to open this tournament on Friday against Wisconsin lacrosse. East Texas Baptist, the opponent right now. Their pitcher, Jacob Sherman, throwing a full count pitch to Carson Atkins. Atkins did not miss that one. Laser into left field. Jackson Harding will have to hold at third base, and it's runners at the corners for Lynchburg with the leadoff man, Brandon Garcia, walking up there. A chance to do some major damage for his ball club. They lead 4-1, but looking for more in the bottom of the 6th inning.
Brandon Garcia, with runners on third and less than 2 outs, is batting .909 on the year.
I'm sorry, is that a real stat? Did you misread that?
No.
Brandon Garcia, in the situation of a runner on third with less than 2 outs, is hitting .909 on the season.
Maybe.
What even is that? 29 for 30? No, that couldn't be possible. We're getting a delay here to discuss the math again, because now the umpires will call time. The coach for ETBU was kind of sprinting out to the mound, and the umpire sort of admonished him and said, hang on, I didn't give you time yet. And then there was a short conversation there that appeared to be mostly friendly, but I will add there was some strong gesturing in there between the coach and the umpire. There is a bullpen option warming up, a right-handed option for ETBU. There will be runners at the corners with 1 out. It is not a pitching change, though. Jacob Sherman's going to stay in the game. And with back-to-back left-handers coming up for Lynchburg, makes some sense. The conversation is actually still going on between the umpires and the head coach there. Or the pitching coach, perhaps. Anyway, hard to know what that was all about, so let's tell you what we do know. It's a 4-1 ball game, Lynchburg leading, bottom of the 6th. There's 1 out in the 6th inning with runners at the corners. Brandon Garcia, fresh count here. Sherman will throw to first base to keep an eye on Carson Atkins, who obviously runs well. If you didn't know that before that, you figured it out when Atkins ran to the warning track to take a hit away to end the top of the 6th inning. Sherman looks over, now pitches to Garcia. Bunt attempt, fouls it back. It was catchable for a moment, but Nick Chavez, the backstop for ETBU, could not get there in time, and it's just strike 1.
Yeah, especially with the top of the order, you don't want to walk Garcia here, and if he's going to give you the free out, you can pitch to him here, but maybe this opens up the playbook a little bit for Garcia. Knows he may get a strike here since he's already shown bunt.
Second pitch to Brandon Garcia is a ball. Count is now even at 1-1 with 1 out. Jackson Harding leads off at third. He singled to get the inning going. Sack bunt from Holden Fiedler and a base hit from Carson Atkins. The hits do seem to come in bunches for this Lynchburg team, don't they? Here comes a 1-1 delivery to Brandon Garcia. That's ball 2. Another one that the ETBU side voices some audible displeasure at the call. 2-1 coming up. I think the umpiring has been outstanding. The addition of instant replay has got to be a little bit tough for an umpire as well. There's a throw over to first. And I mean that, Tim, because, I guess you get the call right, but as an umpire, don't you think maybe it kind of, you don't want to get second-guessed naturally? I mean, I think that's human nature. Here's a fastball that does nibble the edge to Brandon Garcia, 2-2. I don't know. Maybe we need to talk to some umpires, see what they think about it.
Well, it does imply they're not perfect, and I don't think that's something that people thought about umpires this entire time. They are held to a standard where they're supposed to be perfect. It's just not easy. That's even short selling it. It's impossible to be perfect.
Right.
And having instant replay is a very obvious representation of that.
No replay needed on that one. That's a clean single past the second baseman for Brandon Garcia. He is very pumped over there on first base, and Lynchburg has added their 5th run of the ball game. Jackson Harding comes home to score, station to station for Carson Atkins as he goes first to second. And now it's Ben Jones with a chance to, I overuse the phrase, but maybe break the door down, break the game open right here for Lynchburg. They're on top by 4. One of those Benny bombs would create some distance, perhaps. Avery Neves waits on deck. Pitcher still Jacob Sherman for ETBU. There's 1 out in the bottom of the 6th inning. Garcia at first, Atkins at second. Hold by Sherman. Checks the runner at second. Now pitches low and away to Ben Jones for ball 1.
And Jones excited in the first inning with his triple. One of the most exciting plays in baseball as he tucked it into the right field corner, showed off his speed.
It was a triple that actually hit the infield dirt, too, because the way he hit it, it was a hard line drive, but it was just like ankle high the whole time. Here's another pitch to Ben Jones. Ball up the middle. Hit it by the second baseman. Atkins is going to turn and score. No play there. Too much speed. And Lynchburg leads 6-1. Back-to-back RBI singles from the high school teammates. First it was Brandon Garcia. Then it was Ben Jones. And it's now 4 hits in the inning, Tim. They come in bunches. And now a pitching change is going to have to arrive for ETBU as Jacob Sherman has thrown his last ball in this game. Wow, Lynchburg's offense heating up. Not quite the death by 1,000 cuts because there is that Ben Jones triple in there, but it ends up being 10 hits for Lynchburg. They were getting asked, Tim, about scoring all the runs, but only getting 3 hits, and I think there was a little bit of an implication there by some of the opposing teams that, oh, Lynchburg, all they do is take walks and get hit by a pitch. Well, no, the Hornets are so much more than that. 10 hits on the board, 6 runs, and now the lead is up to 5. 6-1 ball game in the bottom of the 6th.
And I don't think you have to apologize if you're the Hornets for drawing 10 walks and 6 hit by pitches.
Yeah.
A good saying that I like to refer to a lot is the only rule is that it has to work.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're getting walked 10 times and hit 6 pitches and you win 8-3, then it works. You're good. And they lead the country in walks. You have a player who leads the country as an individual in Avery Neves. You can't apologize for things like that. And it's also good that the Hornets came out today and even if they were trying to prove anyone wrong, like, see, we can hit it around the ballpark, it didn't seem like anyone was out of their comfort zone or pushing a little bit too hard to make a big play. Everyone was staying reserved, staying within themselves on their swings, putting good contact on the ball. Avery Neves hit a 10 hopper up the middle. Mm-hmm. He's doing anything he can to help this ball team win.
Well, I thought all of Lynchburg's team had a pretty healthy answer when folks were asking him about that. It would be easy to maybe fire back, well, throw us more strikes and we'll get more hits. It would be easy to fire that back, but Lynchburg, they had a bit more tact than that and a bit more polite with the answer. I think this Lynchburg team has such a healthy balance all the way around of, yeah, if it's in the zone, we're going to swing the bat, but we're not going to help the pitcher. We're not going to offer it a lot of balls out of the zone. Does it happen? Of course it does. It's baseball. You're going to get fooled on a breaking ball in the dirt occasionally or one of those high fastballs you go after. But for the most part, as a team, Lynchburg's hitting approach is so disciplined, so patient. They make the pitcher work, and they don't swing until they're ready to turn it loose. And then you add the element of being able to foul off some of those 2-strike pitches like I talked about Holden Fiedler, just kind of flipping the hands at one earlier to stay alive and at bat. You do that a bunch of times, and that adds to your walk total as well because the pitcher has to just throw more and more pitches over the plate. Sometimes they can't do that. All right, here's a guy that will take the walk if you don't come over the plate. It's Avery Neves. He is hitting with 1 out, runners on first and second. In a 5-run ball game now. Lynchburg scored 3 in the first, 1 in the second. They've got a 2-spot working here in the 6th inning, but the inning is far from over. Hard fastball inside by Reese Gustafson for ball 1. Reese Gustafson is the new pitcher for ETBU. And I will get you some numbers in just a moment on Reese Gustafson. Garcia bouncing off at second. Gustafson gave him a long look, then finally delivered another overhand fastball that's not in the zone, and it's a 2-0 count on Avery Neves, that patient man that leads the country in walks. It's not the only year he's done that. Ben Jones bouncing around at first base as well. Here comes a 2-0 delivery from Gustafson. Another long look at Garcia. Neves thought about that one. It was closer, but still a ball low. And it's a 3-0 count on Avery Neves. Just the 6th game of the season that Gustafson has appeared in, Tim. So not a real deep resume for us to draw from. Maybe not much of a scouting report for Lynchburg. He'll figure it out on the fly and make it work. I'm thinking green light here for Avery Neves. Let's see if he gets something to hit. Gustafson holds, pitches. Neves did kind of check swing at that. Oh, and they will call it a strike. And the count will move to 3-1 as Neves will restrap the ankle guard. This one you got to be careful on. Yeah, pretty smart there by Avery Neves. He's going to take the timeout. He's going to take the offensive timeout to avoid a pitch clock violation, or as the NCAA prefers, the action clock violation.
Avery Neves 2 nights ago worked himself into a 3-0 count. A couple of close calls. Also unbuckled the ankle protector. Ended up driving a line drive up the middle for an RBI. So maybe looking to make Gustafson pay for not walking him here.
Here it comes from Gustafson. Neves smokes it down the line. That's a fair ball in the corner. It hit off the tarp. Garcia is going to score. Ben Jones will get the stop sign at third, but that's a double down the line for Avery Neves. It scores 1. It's 4 hits in a row for Lynchburg this inning and 5 total. Yeah, Avery Neves thought he drew a walk. They send him back in the batter's box. He just shoots one down the line for another double. Avery Neves getting it done again for Lynchburg. Hornets on top 7-1 now, Tim.
Yeah, it's the second time, as I said, he's done that. Stay composed at the plate. Look for a pitch. You're probably going to get something around the strike zone again like the previous one, and this time he pulls it down the line and shows off the speed, getting a double.
Infield coming in for Sean Pokerock. Pokerock facing Gustafson. Strike 1 is across, upper right corner of the zone. And now it's an 0-1 count. Neves at second, Ben Jones at third. Infield is in for ETBU. They trail by 6, but trying to get the prevent defense to stop it right here. I guess actually the prevent defense analogy would be the infield back a little bit, really. But anyway, we move on. 1-1 count on Sean Pokerock with 1 out. Pokerock is 0 for 3, by the way. Lynchburg has 11 hits as a team now. Yeah, they're proving they can swing it. Fastball inside portion of the dish for strike 2. This Lynchburg team has proven a lot of people wrong this season in general. Touch on that here in just a moment if we get a chance. Wind up from Gustafson. Here it comes to Pokerock. Slider, which had good action, but Sean Pokerock didn't give it a sniff. Didn't even make a move at that one. He saw it all the way. 2-2. Eric Hyatt on deck is 1 for 2 with a walk. Here comes the pitch from Gustafson. Pokerock didn't get a lot of it. Yeah, in fact, he fouled it off of his own foot. He'll try to walk that pain off and get back in the batter's box. Just a foul ball.
Lynchburg came into the year in the Division III baseball poll ranked 16th. Move your way all the way up more than 10 spots. At one point, you ranked 3rd in the country. By the last poll of the season a couple weeks ago, ranked 6th.
Foul ball from Sean Pokerock. Yeah, I think there was even some Lynchburg kind of used that as fuel for the fire, if you will. A little bit of a chip on the shoulder. I don't think it's a big log on the shoulder or anything for Lynchburg, but they feel like maybe they've been slighted a little bit here and there. Sean Pokerock will take ball 3. And that's another one that each individual is unique. Some guys might care about that. I'm sure there's some players for Lynchburg who have never even looked at that national poll. They don't even care at all. Full count pitch coming up to Sean Pokerock. All he cares about is this pitch, and it is ball 4 out of the zone. It was actually a good stop from Nick Chavez to keep it from going to the back. That would have allowed a run to score. Full count, another mound visit. Might be all for the new man, Reese Gustafson. Eric Hyatt will be the hitter for Lynchburg. That is the first time that Sean Pokerock has been aboard. And it will be walk number 4 for Lynchburg as a team. I'm double checking. I think it's just the 3rd walk that they've drawn today, Tim. Just 3 walks. So, credit ETBU there. They have thrown more strikes. But as we kind of predicted after the game, if you throw Lynchburg more strikes, they're going to get more hits. They're capable hitters. They're not going up there looking to walk necessarily. They just understand the zone. They understand where the strike zone is and where their hitting zone is. And those two things, as I've said, are not always the same. But Lynchburg really understands how to hit in every facet.
Yeah, and Lynchburg's not facing bad teams throughout the entire year where they're not seeing many strikes. Teams just aren't able to pitch to this Lynchburg team around the zone because of exactly what we're seeing right here. They're going to get 11 hits halfway through the game. And I think that the plate discipline is really impressive, as you mentioned. You know, and there's guys struggle throughout the year. You know, maybe you're tempted to expand the zone, try to make something happen, but the guys do a really good job of staying within themselves because they know part of this team identity is just working walks.
You hear that phrase, a guy is pressing, or a guy's trying to do hard, or he's trying to do too much, you know, all those sorts of things. And we've used those phrases as well. And a lot of times that's what people mean when they say that. You're chasing balls out of the zone because you're going up to the batter's box thinking, I got to get a hit. I got to get a hit. I need a hit right here. I haven't hit one in a while. That's what happens when you start pressing. You start swinging at balls outside of the zone. You get outside your norm just a little bit. But Lynchburg, for the most part, hasn't had that problem, which I think was your point. I just elaborated on it a little bit.
Yeah, and then real quick, Benton Jones in the regional didn't get a hit, but he still walked 8 times.
Right.
He was able to stay within himself and help the team out. He scored very important runs in that regional without getting a hit.
Could be some more runs here in an important spot for Eric Hyatt. The new pitcher is Cody Johnson. There's a big looping breaking ball that misses the zone high, and it's ball 1. This man, Eric Hyatt, has delivered in big situations this postseason. Think back to the North Carolina Wesleyan game. Hyatt 4 for 5. He'll get this one airborne. May not be deep enough to score Ben Jones. It will not. It will actually be an infield fly rule with the bases loaded. The ball was caught in the outfield, but you can have the infield fly rule even on that situation.
That gives you credence to say that the play that Garcia made was an infield single.
There you go.
Even though he still fielded it on the outfield grass.
I love it. I love it when you make me feel good about something like that. Gavin, go ahead.
It's easy. I mean, we've been listening to your calls, making these highlight videos, and it's like poetry.
Oh, come on. My ego's already too big. Breaking ball from Cody Johnson is a strike on Gavin Collins. 0-1 on Gavin Collins, who's 0 for 3 today. He's that guy who he might only have one hit in a game, but it tends to be a big hit. Gavin Collins, maybe so right here. Swing and miss on an off-speed pitch out front there. Jackson Harding is on deck. He led off the inning with a single. Lynchburg has followed suit with 4 more hits after that. 5 hits total, a sac bunt. There's been a walk in there as well. Cody Johnson pitching with an 0-2 count to Gavin Collins. Here it comes. It's in the dirt. Another good block from Nick Chavez. We talked a lot about defense. Seen some great catching in this tournament. Holden Fiedler doing awesome things for Lynchburg. Good stop there by Nick Chavez to save a run for sure. Bases loaded for Gavin Collins. 1-2 delivery coming up from Cody Johnson. Johnson working out of the windup with the bases loaded in the bottom of the 6th inning. He'll twirl and send it in. Another breaking ball in the dirt. Another nice stop from Chavez. It holds Ben Jones at third base. Avery Neves will lead off at second when we get back to action. And at first base, it's Sean Pokerock who drew that walk in this inning. 2-2 count for Gavin Collins. Third baseman for Lynchburg in the red top with the white pants. He'll swing and miss at that. Bases get left loaded, but Lynchburg does some damage. A 3-run inning in the bottom of the 6th. Lynchburg up in the ante and upping the score line. 7-1 advantage right now for the Hornets, getting ready for the 7th inning here. We're ready to start the 7th inning here in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Lynchburg is one win away from the championship series against an opponent to be determined, Tim. Johns Hopkins and Baldwin Wallace have to come back later on today after this game for that if-necessary game. But Lynchburg, they're trying to do their part of the job to get in that championship series right now. We're into the championship rounds here, I call them 7, 8, and 9. This will be key. Lynchburg, they're in a good spot with a 6-run lead. You'd rather be the team that's trying to hold on to the lead, always, I think. And Lynchburg on top, 7-1. How about Wesley Arrington pitching into the 7th inning again? That was the 90th ball that he has thrown. So actually fairly efficient when you think about it. That one's in the dirt, and now it'll be a 3-1 count on Jace Jones. Lynchburg got 5 hits in that last inning. They got 5 hits in the first inning. They actually scored 3 runs in both those innings, Tim. It's 11 hits total for Lynchburg. And they have left 8 on base. They've left 6 in scoring position. So for Lynchburg, hard to say missed opportunities when they've put 7 on the board. But I think my point is it could actually be a little bit worse. Give ETBU some credit for maybe minimizing the damage in some of those innings.
Yeah, this game could have gotten out of hand a lot more, and you see those zeros they put up throughout the middle innings. But no surprise Wesley Arrington is here in the 7th inning. The wing must be feeling really fresh. He hasn't pitched since May 21st, about 3 weeks ago against Lebanon Valley, where he also pitched into the 7th after allowing some early runs.
Fastball off the plate, 4-1. It's a 1-0 count on Nick Masserini. There is double barrel action in the Lynchburg bullpen now, including one Zach Potts. It looks like Mason McDowell is the other arm over there in the pen for Lynchburg. There's a fastball middle for strike 1. Nick Masserini takes it. It's a 1-1 count.
Speaking of the rest for Arrington, a starter that's typical, but what about for Jack Batchmore, who usually pitches 3 or 4 innings every game? Is there a part of you where you want to get Jack Batchmore into this game to at least get him some run? Because if Lynchburg wins, they're not playing for another 48 hours.
Exactly. No, it's a good thought there, Tim. It's a 1-2 count on Masserini. And I've been talking about that with the coaches some, back to you don't want to overuse your bullpen, but they need to stay current. They need to stay regular. They need to get some work. Maybe that means you do some of those simulated at-bats with your own guys tomorrow in the practice field. How about that? Arrington, heater, got his man looking on the outside part of the plate. And that is Wesley Arrington's 7th strikeout of the game. Starting pitching and the pitching in general for Lynchburg has been a strong suit all season, and they're laying the cards out on the table. They are dealing the cards, these aces. There is one out. Catcher, Nick Chavez, will take ball 1. That was a slider in the dirt. Ryan Long has come on as a defensive replacement at first base. We have seen that in quite a few games in this postseason. Subs into the lineup in Eric Hyatt's spot. Arrington will get a fastball over for strike 1. Wesley Arrington still pitching in the upper 80s right now. Doesn't appear to be tiring in any form or fashion, at least from our vantage point. And when you look at the speed gun up there. 7-1 ball game, Lynchburg by 6. Ground ball, left side. Hornets will have to hustle to get 1. They do turn it across and get both of them. Tic-tac-toe around the infield for Lynchburg will end the top of the 7th inning. Arrington gets the first one with a strikeout. This is ground ball to Brandon Garcia. Flips to the high school teammate covering at second. And then Ben Jones wheels it over to first for the final out of the inning. 7-1 ball game. Lynchburg looking to add on in the bottom of the 7th. Time to stretch here in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Got to see some Hollywood defense on display right there. Star power for Lynchburg. As Brandon Garcia goes in the hole to field a ground ball, wings it to his high school teammate Ben Jones. He snaps it across to first where Ryan Long made the stretch for the third out of the seventh inning. Wesley Arrington has struck out 7. He has pitched 7 complete in less than 100 pitches. Not even to the century mark yet for Wesley Arrington. And Lynchburg full steam ahead here in the bottom of the 7th inning. It's Jackson Harding who led off the 6th inning with that single that started things. Harding going to try to slash one to center field. Nick Masserini is there. He will make the grab for out number 1. Thought Harding put a good move on it, hit it fairly well, but Masserini able to run it down. So there's 1 out in the bottom of the 7th inning. This is Holden Fiedler. He is 0 for 2, did have a sac bunt in there. And I am just so impressed with Wes Arrington. Just using the cards reference again and the aces dealing, throwing the aces down on the table for Lynchburg. Wes Arrington has followed suit. He has done exactly what his 2 counterpart starters, Brandon Pond and Zach Potts, did. And Wesley Arrington is a legit ace in his own right. Don't let the fact that he's taken the ball in Game 3 fool you. Wesley Arrington is as good of a starter as you will find at this level. He has impressed me all season long. He's got that calm, steady demeanor. He does not display as much emotion as, say, Zach Potts or Brandon Pond does. But Wes Arrington is such a great player. He's got his own style, and I love that. I love that everybody from Lynchburg has their own style. No clones, no robots. No guys, Wes Arrington's not going to act out and fist pump and do some of those things just because Brandon Pond and Zach Potts do it. He's his own man, and he is thriving in this ball game here in the NCAA D3 Baseball Championship. Lynchburg trying to book a spot into the championship series, which will be best 2 out of 3. It's a best 2 out of 3. And, everybody uses the term double elimination as Carson Atkins hits with a 3-1 count. But everything is reset when you get to that championship series. It doesn't matter if you have a loss or not. It's still best 2 out of 3. The team that emerges from the lower side of the bracket, which is where we are now with Lynchburg and ETBU, faces a team from the upper bracket. Here's a full count pitch to Arrington. He'll hit a 1-hopper to his shortstop, Jake Miller fields. Low throw, but it's dug out over there at first base. Nice pick by Jace Jones. And it's a quiet 7th inning for Lynchburg. 3 up, 3 down. They hold on to the 6-run advantage. Wesley Arrington coming back for more in the top of the 8th inning. Make sure you do the same. We are broadcasting live on the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network. Lynchburg's done a little bit of everything in this game. They have pitched it, they have gloved it, and they've swung it as well. 11 hits for Lynchburg, 7 runs. They have not taken a boatload of walk, or maybe the Midwestern phrase should be a silo full of walk. If you fill those round silos with the corn and the other things that you plant out here in the black dirt of the Midwest, Lynchburg, they filled up the scoreboard in a variety of ways in 3 games at the D3 Baseball Championships. Job is not done yet. Still more work to do in this game. And a win here would book a spot in the championship series that would begin on Wednesday against an opponent to be determined. Johns Hopkins and Baldwin Wallace will play after this ball game to try to figure out who gets into the championship series from their side. Weekly hit ball. Gavin Collins coming on. He has time. He makes the sidearm throw over to first, and that's the first out of the inning. That was the shortstop, Jake Miller, grounding out to Gavin Collins at third. And here comes the leadoff man, Jacob Evangelista. This will be his fourth plate appearance. He's 0 for 3 against Wes Arrington. He's flown out to right a couple times and struck out once. Arrington has struck out 7. He has had strikeout stuff today. He's had strikeout stuff his entire career, but he's put it on display here on the big stage of the D3 Baseball Championships in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Kyle Haney hanging out with you. Great time with Tim LaDuca. He has gone down to the field level to try to get some more of that great content for the website and social media. Get in the mix there with the team. We do encourage you to follow us on all the social media spots. Avery Neves will come on to try to make another grab. Yeah, he actually dropped it down to second gear to make that catch on a looping line drive from Jacob Evangelista. So there's 2 outs, 2 fairly quick ones for Wesley Arrington. He has gone over the 100 pitch mark. 105 total for Wes Arrington. The bullpen options continue to get loose in the Lynchburg bullpen. And if we get to see them, we'll be excited to tell you more about them. Great starting pitching for Lynchburg and great relief work as well. And that has been a theme all season long. Ground ball left side. Brandon Garcia there, scoops it up, throws across. That's the third out of the inning. It's 3 up, 3 down. A fairly quick one in the top of the 8th inning. Hornets can add a few more insurance runs in the bottom of the 8th. It's a 7-1 lead over East Texas Baptist. Brandon Garcia will lead off the 8th inning for Lynchburg. They lead by 6. It's a 7-1 advantage for the Hornets. They got on top early. Bottom of the first, Lynchburg scored 3. It was 1 run for Lynchburg in the 2nd inning. And the 2nd inning, for reference, is the only inning that ETBU has scored in. Lynchburg zeros in 3, 4, and 5. They dropped another 3 spot in the bottom of the 6th. 3 up, 3 down last inning. And here we are. Bottom of the 8th with Brandon Garcia leading off. 1-1 count as he faces Cody Johnson, the 4th pitcher that the Tigers from East Texas Baptist have used. And we were all speculating and assuming that we would end up seeing ETBU's ace again as Brandon Garcia pulls 1 foul. That is Sayers Collins, who picked up his 12th win of the season on Friday night when the Tigers beat the Seagulls of Salisbury. Everybody just assumed that Sayers Collins would come back in today's game. but not everybody has that rubber arm like a Jack Batchmore or a Zach Potts. Garcia tried to arc one over the second baseman's head, but it ends up being caught there by Carson Wilson for the first out of the inning. And I think that means that we should appreciate and marvel more at guys like Zach Potts who can pitch on short rest, or Jack Batchmore. Now, that's not a knock on Sayers Collins because he didn't start the game today. Maybe the way he pitches and the amount of balls that he threw on Friday just didn't allow him to come back in this one. Or maybe he's still an option. This is obviously a Tigers team that would have to win twice to advance, whereas Lynchburg is in a different situation. They only need to win this game to lock in a spot in the championship series. So maybe the thought process for ETBU was, we're not bringing back Sayers Collins until that if necessary game if we get there. Who knows? You can speculate all you want, and that's fun to do as a baseball fan, as Ben Jones caps one foul. It's an 0-2 count. I mean, that's part of what makes sports interesting, is you can say, well, what would I have done, or what should they have done? Now it becomes easier with hindsight. It's always easy to say coulda, shoulda, woulda. Ben Jones will ground one foul to the right side this time. It's still 0-2 on Benny Bombs, who is 2 for 3 with a triple and a single. He's driven in 2 of the 7 runs. He's also been hit by a pitch and struck out one time. The pitcher is Cody Johnson. He'll wind and deal to Ben Jones. Ball 1 as that nearly clipped the shoestrings of Ben Jones. So, yeah, I always put so much faith in our coaches and our umpires that I try not to second guess in a negative way, just maybe in a way that, well, you could have thought about this, but maybe there's a reason they didn't do it. That's my thing. When I second guess a coach, I kind of assume, well, they must have had a reason for doing it the way they did. Oh, fastball just got the outer black, and Ben Jones has struck out looking again. Only 2 strikeouts looking have actually been Ben Jones, a guy who is never easily fooled. He will unfortunately be retired on strikes. 2 outs now for Avery Neves. Neves has got a sac fly, an RBI double, and a single that scored Ben Jones in that first inning. So I think Avery Neves has got 3 RBI by my credit. 3 of the 7 runs have been driven in by this guy, Avery Neves. Ben Jones drove in 2 of the 7. Long applause for Cody Johnson as he walks off the field. That's really nice to see. A big display of emotion from his team. His fan base standing ovation for Cody Johnson as he exits the game and hands the ball off. Another thing about our game is you get some bittersweet moments like that, where unfortunately players are going to play their last game here. It's going to happen for some players on PG Cares Field at Veterans Memorial Stadium in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Cody Johnson has pitched 16 times this season, and he seemed to have developed a following up there from the fans and also his teammates. They were all coming out of the dugout to give him a big hug. Trent Clark is the right-handed relief pitcher now. He will be the 5th arm that ETBU has used. Their bullpen is getting stressed. If they did have to go to that if necessary game, you have to think that would be a scramble for a pitching coach. Compare that to Lynchburg, who got a complete game yesterday from Brandon Pond in a starting role. They've gotten an 8-inning start from Wes Arrington, and Wes may go back out to try for a complete game himself. But just thinking about that, and then go back to Zach Potts, who pitched 7 strong innings in the start on Friday. So that's 3 starters for Lynchburg that have basically averaged 8 innings. The average comes exactly out to 8 innings right there for Lynchburg. It's 24 innings in 3 games that Lynchburg starters have eaten up so far, and it may end up being more than that, like I said, if Wes Arrington comes back out to begin the top of the 9th. We are in the bottom of the 8th inning. Avery Neves is the hitter. 0-0 count, facing a new pitcher, Trent Clark, and there are 2 outs in the bottom of the 8th inning. Kyle Haney hanging out with you. We're in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. 2023 D3 baseball championship action. It's game 3 for Lynchburg in the tournament. It's game 4 for East Texas Baptist. And in the entire tournament, when you look at the bracket, this is game 12. This is game 12 of the entire tournament. We started with 8 teams. We're down to a final 4. And the Tigers from ETBU will be down to their final 3 outs of the tournament here in just a moment. Avery Neves will swing on this one. Back-to-back foul balls. Should make it a 1-2 count on the 2-time All-American. If Lynchburg can win, they advance to the championship series, which will begin at high noon, Central Time, of course, on Wednesday, June 7th. Clark from the stretch position here. He'll pick up and fire to Neves. Fastball at the eye line for ball 2. Lost the voice there for a bit. A lot of talking in between games for our LHSN crew, and some yelling in there as well. 2-2 coming up to Avery Neves. Right-handed hitters ready. Held onto the bat with the white batting gloves and took ball 3. Neves has got that linebacker build. If you've never seen him before, I just picture him as a middle linebacker roaming around, causing havoc on the gridiron. Need to ask him if he was a football player in high school. Here comes a full count pitch to Neves. He gets under this one into right center field. Trio of defenders are there, but the right fielder will end up making the grab for the 3rd out of the 8th inning. So here we go. Lynchburg tries to lock it down. They've got a 6-run lead, 3 more outs to get. Wesley Arrington is coming back to try to slam the door himself for Lynchburg. Don't miss the conclusion on LHSN. Here we go, Hornet fans. Wherever you are listening, whenever you are listening, don't be afraid to get on your feet for this 9th inning right here. It is the top of the 9th. Lynchburg leads 7-1 over East Texas Baptist University, and Wesley Arrington, the starter, has come out to begin the 9th inning. That was pitch 108, so I don't think he's quite in that danger area yet, and after all, we're at the end of the season. He's at the end of a very good career. I think he's got the strength and the stamina to finish this one out. Some key relief options await if Lynchburg decides to go that route. Foul tip into the umpire for strike 2. It is a 1-2 count. Wes Arrington facing Jordan Hara. The designated hitter is 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts against Wes. Lynchburg scored 3 runs in the bottom of the 1st, 1 in the 2nd. They added 3 more in the 8th inning, and that's the difference right now, 7-1. Whoa, fastball upstairs that scrambled Jordan Hara a bit. It is just ball 2. ETBU got their lone run in the 2nd inning. And much like Brandon Pond 2 nights ago for Lynchburg, Wes Arrington has gotten better and better as the game has gone on, and guess what? He's just gotten his 8th strikeout of the game. It was the wipeout slider from Arrington that Jordan Hara just did not stand a chance on. 1 in the books here in the 9th inning. 25 down, 2 more to get for Lynchburg to book their spot in the D3 Baseball Championship Series. That's a best 2 out of 3. That will start on Wednesday. Check swing, appeal to first. Ben Lee did not go Ben Lee's swinging it. He's 2 for 3 against Wesley Arrington. He's got 8 hits in the 4 games that ETBU has played here in Cedar Rapids. He'll hack at that one and send it foul. The count is even at 1-1 with 1 out. Top of the 9th inning. Yeah, Wesley Arrington wearing number 45. ETBU probably feels like they have been staring down the barrel of that 45 here in this game. They've only mustered up 4 hits. Wesley Arrington has been electric with the slider. He's only walked 2. Arrington has struck out 8 and walked 2. 2-1 count. Ben Lee will change that with a foul ball over our heads in the press box. And now it's a 2-2 count. Let's see if Arrington's going slider here. That last one was an 88-mile-an-hour fastball. Arrington is still pumping. He's got some gas left in the tank. It was the slider, I think, but it was a ball. And now the count is full. 1 out for Ben Lee. Brett Wagner waits on deck for ETBU. East Texas Baptist up to this point in the postseason was 8-0 in elimination games. They faced this spot a bunch of times. Fly ball, right center field. Atkins calls off Harding and makes the grab for the 2nd out of the inning. 26 in the books. 1 more to go here for Lynchburg. The hitter is Brett Wagner. He's 0 for 3. He did drive in a run, actually, in that 1st inning on a 6-3 putout. Moak, pinch hitter coming up here. Looks like a change for ETBU. The new hitter will be number 29, Will Kelly. Will Kelly will be the first offensive replacement of the game for ETBU. Lynchburg holding on to a 6-run lead. Hornets in the red tops, which they love. And I know One Nation loves that red as well. Around the infield, Ryan Long at first base. He did not start, came in for Eric Hyatt. Ben Jones at second, Brandon Garcia at short, Gavin Collins at third. Holden Fiedler has caught every inning in this tournament for Lynchburg. And a special credit and recognition to Holden Fiedler for putting his body on the line his entire career and in the last 4 days here in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. 0-1 count. Arrington's getting ahead. Line drive to Garcia. He dove after it but came up empty. It was hit well off the bat of Will Kelly. That is the first hit that Wesley Arrington has surrendered since the 6th inning. And from innings 4 through 8, it was just that 1 hit for ETBU. That's how well Wes Arrington has pitched in this ball game, but Will Kelly is aboard. Will Kelly is on. Lynchburg has a 6-run lead. For some fans, that feels comfortable. For most coaches, you're never comfortable until the exclamation point or the period, till it's over. Soft shot up the middle. Ben Jones is there. Oh, it kicked off the heel of his glove. It was spinning sort of weirdly off the end of the bat from Jace Jones. That's probably going to go down as a base hit, I think. And I'm trying to get better about not being so hard on the defense. It was a tough play for Ben Jones, going to his backhand up the middle and then combine that with the awkward spin. That made it difficult and made it a base hit. 6th hit of the ball game, but Wes Arrington has surrendered. He's only given up the 1 run. Another pinch hitter will come in the ball game now for ETBU. This is number 10, Christopher Robinson. 7-1 lead for Lynchburg. Arrington on the mound. It looks like Lynchburg's letting him try to finish this out himself. Wes Arrington has pitched great. This would be the cherry on top of the sundae right here for Wes Arrington, if he could get a complete game. And if he does, it would be back-to-back complete games for Lynchburg in this tournament. Remember, Brandon Pond 48 hours ago absolutely shut down this very good ETBU offense. This is an offense, by the way, fans, that scored 21 runs yesterday against Salisbury, who is without a doubt one of the best teams in the country. ETBU banged out runs no problem against Salisbury, but they have had a problem scoring against this Lynchburg bunch. That's how good the Hornets are. 7-1 ball game. Foul ball by Robinson. 1-2 is the count. Fans getting on their feet. The entire dugout is on that front railing. The guys that were warming up the bullpen have stopped to watch what might be the final pitch of the game. You're hoping it is. Wes Arrington looks in for the sign. He's got it locked and loaded. Fires. That is just off the plate for ball 2. 2-2 count with 2 outs. Tough take right there by Christopher Robinson. How did he lay off? We'll try it again here. 2-2. Arrington looks in, ready, aim, fire. This one is fouled away. Runners on first and second. I don't want to say they're quite meaningless, but it is a 6-run game, and Lynchburg will be looking to get an out anywhere. Infield is deep for Lynchburg. Garcia and Jones are starting with their heels on the grass. Wesley Arrington will try it again. Here's the pitch, and another foul ball. Give some credit to Christopher Robinson for staying alive in a pressure situation. How tight must he be squeezing that bat right now? Although sometimes the good ones don't feel that pressure. As an outside observer, sometimes you feel more pressure. Wesley Arrington seems like he's pitched pressure-free today. He's only given up just the 1 run. Let's see if he can shut it down here. The pitch, fly ball, right field. Jackson Harding fighting the sun, backpedaling. He's under it. There's the grab. Lynchburg wins it. Lynchburg wins another one. They are moving to the championship series. The Lynchburg Hornets defeat East Texas Baptist University 7-1. And the Hornets are headed to the championship series. On the biggest stage of the year, Lynchburg has produced in the spotlight some of the best performances of their careers for guys like Wesley Arrington and Brandon Pond. And how about the young guys? Ben Jones, Brandon Garcia, Sean Pokerock leading the way. Avery Neves drove in 3 runs in this game. Lynchburg scored 3 in the bottom of the first, 1 in the second. They added on 3 insurance runs in the bottom of the 6th, and that was more than Wesley Arrington needed. A 1-run complete game for Wes Arrington, his first of his career, and he does it when the spotlight is shining brightest. Tip your cap to Wes Arrington and this Lynchburg team. They are headed to the championship series, set to take on either Baldwin Wallace or Johns Hopkins on Wednesday. It'll be a noon first pitch from Veterans Memorial Stadium in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. My goodness, we could spend another 2 hours recapping this run. It's an undefeated 3-0 right now for Lynchburg in this tournament. They move to 46-7 on the season. This historic season will not stop yet. Lynchburg has earned themselves at least 2 more ball games, and they are going to play for a national championship in 48 hours. Another off day for Lynchburg. They can go rest the arms and rest the bodies and relax and have some fun and enjoy themselves here in this great Midwestern city of Cedar Rapids, Iowa. I know I have certainly enjoyed myself. Man, this has been a whirlwind ride. We are so glad that you've been right there with us. You have been right there in the fight with us, Hornets fans and baseball fans everywhere. I want you to make sure you join us on Wednesday at noon. And just a little bit more about that championship series, by the way, fans. It will be noon on Wednesday, June 7th. Game 2 is set for 11 a.m. Thursday, June the 8th, and then the if necessary game after that, about 45 minutes after. So, Lynchburg is going to play either Johns Hopkins or Baldwin Wallace. They're getting set to play right now. And it is a double elimination tournament, but that won't matter. Either of these 2 teams, Hopkins or Wallace, they both have 1 loss right now, but the winning team will have that wiped clean, and it just becomes a 2 out of 3 series for all the marbles, for the big trophy on the big stage. So far, Lynchburg has been right at home on that big stage with the spotlight on them. Let's see if they can keep it going. We will talk to you in 48 hours. Relive this one. Please relive this one. Go watch and listen again and make sure you're checking out all the stuff, all the info on the website and the social media so you can get in that post-game and pre-game huddle with the Lynchburg Hornets. We will end it there. Kyle Haney saying so long. Let's plan on doing this again in 48 hours, Lynchburg fans. They win it 7-1. They beat ETBU behind a complete game on the mound from Wes Arrington. Some great defense and some very timely hitting. This time, Lynchburg didn't use the walks and the hit by pitch. They used 11 hits. They beat it around the ballpark here in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. We'll say so long. We'll talk to you again in 48 hours for the championship series. A national champion going to get crowned right here in Cedar Rapids, and it might be the Lynchburg Hornets. Make sure you join us on the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network.